If I sit in your office, or can I say the name?
Well, I'm back off there. Start off there, that way. There's something else. Jeez, I might want to do something nice, Steve, but right, all dark, right, yeah. Just can't do the interference. Thank you for that. Thank you. That's always nice. You can hear me online and you can call in, please. Put your phone on mute, because it does cause interference through the speaker, and we will not be able to properly conduct this meeting.
How do I put my phone on mute?
It's 6 o'clock and I'm calling this meeting to order. Good evening and welcome everyone. It's great to see such a crowd. You realize when you come, you have to come to all the meetings now. Yeah. We recorded your presence. As you've heard, this meeting is being recorded and will be available on the city's YouTube channel. Just a reminder to everyone in the audience and on the council, whether you are presenting or just commenting on an agenda topic, please come to the podium, which is like in the middle of the room now. You're surrounding the podium and wait to be recognized by the mayor stating your name. There's normally a 7-minute time limit per person, but this time may be shortened if your comments are off topic, being discussed, or repetitive. And also we'll have to see how many people want to talk on a particular topic, and we'll try to manage that along the way. We'll try to get everybody to get their voices in. If you want to talk about any items that are not on the agenda, those can be presented under citizens not on the agenda. Have the agenda, that's at the bottom of the agenda almost, but will not be responded to or discussed by the council, as they will listen. Profanity and threatening behavior is not allowed by the public or the council. Any discussions will occur only if a motion has been made and seconded, and that's when the normal discussion occurs. If you're not familiar with Robert's rule or protocol, etc., and I'll remind you of that as we go along. We also have 3 public hearings that we need to conduct tonight, and there's special rules about how they happen as well. And I'll remind everybody that the protocol for that. We do have 2 or 3 Lynn County sheriff deputies in attendance tonight, and they are prepared to any abusers of this policy. Thank you. We have a lot of business. 39, not talking about you. Users of this policy. Thank you. We have a lot of business to tend to tonight. So let's move on. Our first order of business now is roll call, please.
Marion Wainwright.
Deb Molly.
Dan Wozniak, Mike here.
Cindy Anderson. Thank you. I also want it noted in the minutes and for the public reference is that our meeting minutes tonight are being taken by City Administrator Chris Hill, and Chase Harrison is on video. Make sure that's duly noted, please. Okay. Move on to approval of the consent agenda. Council, have you had the opportunity to look through the consent agenda? Do you have any questions?
We cannot approve the consent agenda as it's currently constructed. There were no minutes placed on file for 1/8/26. In addition to there being no notes from the special council meeting last Thursday, there were several illegal motions made at that meeting. The first one,
Council member, we will not be making accusations during this session.
I'm making one, it's not, I can make an accusation, they were legally made motions. Specifically, the first one was by Cindy Anderson and
Michael
seconded by.
Daly.
No, you're not gonna interrupt me. We cannot accept this agenda as written. Dude, I'm not talking about the unappointed, you understand?
Give your reason for, do you want an item removed from the consent agenda?
Yes, the
Okay.
minutes from 1/8 due to several motions not being on the agenda,
Okay.
discussed and voted on.
Okay, fair enough. And I should also mention, in looking at, the online version of our packet, I've received several letters, and some at very late notice regarding, the topic of the city clerk. We did the best we could to process as many as possible and get them into the packet. A lot of them came in really late, and that made it impossible to do that. So my apologies on that. We did the best we could. Our deputy clerk is doing a great job in keeping up with this. So I just want to comment that's under item number I, correspondence. If you look online, you will see the correspondence, but they probably aren't all there because they came in late. Okay, any other comments on the consent agenda? Okay, so I need a motion to approve the consent agenda, please, removing item number D.
I guess I should probably comment too, there's no financials in there because we don't know how to prepare those reports, so. Myself or Tina,
Which one, what item number is that, Chris?
the financial report, H. Approve and place on file financial reports, there are
Looks like there's a link for utility billing.
just utility billing.
Okay, so some are missing.
That's the way I understand it, Joanne, I don't, this
Okay.
isn't my role, so.
Do you want to remove item number H?
I'm just making council aware that. I don't know.
Just making them aware. Okay. So we'll leave it on there, missing some reports potentially. Anything else, council?
Potentially, definitely, there are no the cash reports usually,
Pardon, what did you say?
the cash report is usually in there.
Oh, under financial.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll just make a note that some reports may be missing,
Are missing.
and we'll put them on the next agenda instead. So we'll get caught up. And we sometimes are missing minutes, et cetera. Again, if we have meetings close together like we're having right now, if you can't keep caught up with. Anything else? Okay, so with item number D being deleted and some comments regarding possible missing items from the agenda that will be carried forward to the next agenda now, can we approve the consent agenda, please?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Then sorry, okay. We may have to speak up a little bit louder tonight, council, with the full room going on, okay. Thank you. Council, in your package, you should have some reports. I don't see the sheriff's report unless it was added late. Do we have any of the deputies that are reporting? Thank you, deputy. You will go to the podium and tell us who you are.
Deputy O'Hare with the County Sheriff's Office. Sheriff's report that we had 90 calls for service. All the town time, hours were 2:17.
Could you repeat your name again, please?
Deputy O'Hare.
Oh, here?
O'Hare, like
O'Hare.
the airport,
Okay,
no relation.
thank you, deputy. Council, do you have any comments for the deputy? Other than on his name? Understood. I have a name that's hard to forget as well. Thank you, deputy.
Thank you.
Stay safe out there.
Thank you.
Okay, council, do you have any questions on any of the other department reports that are in your packet? I think we've got them all, looks like. All right, So that was for your information only, so we don't really need approval on the reports per se. We'll move on to item number 6. Which is discussion and possible motion to approve the city attorney's representative attendance at current meeting. Any discussion? Well, we need a motion first, then discussion.
General's up there.
Oh,
I'm waiting for the next one. I'm just preparing myself.
well, just hold that thought, because I have to talk about procedures before you talk. But first, we need to address item number 6.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Attorney, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Brian Fagan, with Simmons Brian, served as counsel for, the city of Fairfax. Long time. Served a number of years. Contract.
You can't hear you, come
Brian Fagan with Simmons Brian. And we've served as counsel, our firm has served as counsel for the city for a number of years. Decades.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Then we will move on to item number 7. Discussion and possible motion for reconsideration of Cynthia Stimson as city clerk treasurer. This motion would be to place that item on the agenda for January 20th. And this is where I need to explain. Okay, how this works. We had a previous discussion on the reappointment of our city clerk. When that occurs, and I did lay out in the lobby and provided this all to the council members as well, we have written meeting procedures that we must follow. I'll read it, but then I'll explain it a little bit better than the way it's written. Item number 11, council, for your reference. If the city council has previously discussed a topic, 2 council members from the prevailing side may motion that the item be placed on the next agenda. Our next agenda will be next week, January 20th, for reconsideration. Such reconsideration must comply with the 20-hour public notice requirement unless in case of emergency. So what does that mean? What's the prevailing side mean? Okay, the vote on this topic before was 3-2. The current topic on the agenda for a discussion to reconsider at our January meeting. The first motion must be made by one of the 3 people that were on the prevailing vote side. The second motion must also be made by one people that was, or the 3 people that were on the prevailing side. Then we can have discussion. We're gonna have the motions first, then discussion, and looks like people are ready for discussion. And the council will discuss first. The council always discusses first. After discussion ends, then the actual vote will occur. What I mean by that, the people making those first 2 motions, that's not voting. That's just making a motion. So all 5 council members will vote at the end, and the vote will be just on the motion to move it to January 20th. We're not making any decisions tonight. We can't make any decisions about any reappointment. It's strictly saying, we want to consider this at the next meeting, and that is the rule for anything that has been previously discussed and or voted on.
Can I make a comment?
Certainly.
I would call the situation at City Hall an emergency. We're in the middle of an audit. We do not have a certified clerk there to prepare the reports for the auditor. We also do not have a clerk able there on staff, able to take care of a lot of the city business that's happening right now. Between Tina and myself, we've been trying to cover it, but
Okay,
it's impossible. Can I finish my sentence? But it's impossible.
You're off topic. The topic is the motion. The emergency is only regarding the 24-hour public notice, which has been provided.
I think it also needs to be discussed if that was a legal motion to be made, period.
Mike? Council? Any other questions? warning, Mike, you may have to leave.
I don't have to leave. We've discussed it for years before we make a motion. We have a discussion, then we make a motion, then we have
No.
additional discussion. Robert's rules is not law, it is a guideline. We have been doing that for 10 years. Since I've been here, there's always discussion before a motion. You do not have to make a motion first. Robert's rules, again, is not law, it is guidelines. Does not mean it has to be followed. You were on the council for 20 years before you ran
You're
for
off
mayor.
topic, you're off topic.
And then you should know that we can discuss it before making a motion, period.
Council? The topic on the agenda is to make a motion to move a reconsideration of the city clerk to the January 20th council meeting. So audience, again, we're not making decision on the reappointment tonight. We can't. We can only determine whether we want to consider it at the next. So,
For the table,
no, we were voted on.
no,
That's why three
well,
prevailing
if it was
numbers are,
voted on, why do you have to use the reconsideration?
because it was voted to not reappoint.
Right,
So the prevailing
so
vote,
the motion could have read possible motion to place Cynthia Simpson back on. It didn't need reconsideration because it's not on the table. That's Robert's rules. John.
we're not
You wanna
talking about
follow
table,
Robert's
we're not talking about tabling first.
Well, but we're, no.
Okay,
If you
I
wanna follow Robert's rules, that's how it works.
Bernie, I'm giving you consideration because I know it's difficult in a crowded room for you to go to the podium.
Yes,
However, you're out of order here.
okay, see you, bye.
Can I ask the attorney, is there any maneuver or action the council can take to reconsider this under an emergency rule?
Number one, if that's a request, I would provide a legal opinion for, the city, and at the direction and prepare that for you. And, so, but right now, with the request, it's seeking a motion and a second by someone, by two people, or two members that were, in the affirmative vote on the last.
And we can discuss if this should be reconsidered. So let's discuss if this can be reconsidered.
Without a motion,
We don't need a motion. I don't know how many times. I
I
can say
would,
it.
I would request that the motion be made.
so the attorney has requested that a
Well,
motion be made.
Yeah, I'd certainly take that step.
Advisable
Should
why.
reconsider, what's that?
Advisable why there was a motion made first, as
Just
opposed
so
to
it's an
discussion.
agenda so that the council can talk about it.
Well, this is on the agenda. That's what I'm talking. I'm talking specifically about discussing whether or not to reconsider. We can discuss before making a motion. The agenda is to discuss in possible motions of whether to reconsider Cynthia. We do not have to make a motion before discussing it. Now, if we want to make the motion, then it would have to be by Deb, Dan,
Yeah,
or Cynthia.
yes, right.
So we can discuss it.
Okay,
It's
how
not
many,
approved.
pardon me?
I think you should get an approval. So, but if you want to direct me to, come up and advise on that, I can certainly do that, we can certainly. But I think it's advisable in this situation to discuss it or to move for approval of it and then discuss it. That's how it's agendized.
So you're saying, okay.
The city has never stopped discussion before a motion. On any topic,
How long have you been here? We're here.
16 and a half.
And in the 10 years I was here, we never shut down discussion before a motion. So I don't see why in all this time that we couldn't talk about something before filing a motion, having a motion, why all of a sudden we can't do it.
Okay. So in consideration of the time that this discussion is taking, we've got a lot of business to cover tonight. And we consider allowing discussion. But I want to know how many people want to talk. Raise your hand if you want to talk. So that I know whether it's a manageable number, and I don't care what you're talking. I mean, it has to be on topic, very specific on topic. And typically the council discusses first, a council. We have to respect our council.
I will go as quickly as possible. And I've already talked about this a little, and I know there's some disagreement on it. I think we need to reconsider this for two reasons. Number one, I believe we possibly violated Iowa Code 37215 in terms of removal of appointees. I know there's a semantic argument on removal versus reappointment. Even if you don't believe that we violated that section of code, there's also Iowa Code section 691A that no elected or appointed person to a fixed term shall be removed from office until a successor is elected and qualified or appointed. Either of those two things were done. No consideration was taken, no comments or feedback were given or asked for, excuse me, by the department heads, by city staff. And as you can tell, we have been eyeball deep in a mess ever since. I don't believe it was handled according to Iowa code, and it needs to be reconsidered.
Thank you for your feedback. Any other council comments?
I agree with Mike.
Okay. So, just identify yourself. We don't need addresses tonight, please.
Cynthia Stimson, former city clerk, Fairfax. I live in Marion. It's been a stress-filled 120 hours since Thursday for me physically, mentally, and emotionally. For Chris and Tina, who have worked extra hours doing some of the clerk duties. For most of city staff, seeing how a fellow employee can be treated. I don't intend to go through the list of actions or inactions I believe are wrong, or through the numerous statements which have been wrong or misleading, or how the current toxic work environment is hurting Fairfax. I want to focus on the positive. Thank you to the almost 100% of City of Fairfax staff for support and encouragement. Thank you to Mike Daly and Marianne Wainwright for your support. Thank you to the Fairfax residents for your support. I have been amazed by the overwhelming support. And also contractors and businesses that deal with the city. Thank you to area clerks and clerks across Iowa for your support. It's very gratifying to hear people I have worked with and for acknowledge my value as an employee and person. I have worked for over 30 years to help make first Springville, then Fairfax be better places to live.
My name is Joe Kell. I live at 655 at Fern Lane. I know I didn't need to do that, but I did. I'm also the Fairfax Parks and Recreation Director. The debacle of the special meeting on Thursday, January 8th, has me very concerned. No, outraged at the actions of the city council. Clarify, 3 members of the city council, Cindy Anderson, Deb Molly, and Dan Wozniak. Not reappointing Cynthia Stimson as city clerk treasurer is certainly their decision. But the way that it happened is suspect. The entire vote took just 7 seconds with no discussion, reasoning, or prior notice to Cynthia, which may suggest that it was pre-planned. That would indicate there have been meetings before the vote among those council members. Those meetings would be considered illegal if they did in fact occur. I don't need to explain to this council the importance of Cynthia's role. Or maybe I do. As one council member Cindy Anderson stated for the record that she did not know what the clerk's job was, but voted to dismiss her anyway. The difference between not reappointing and firing is semantics. In effect, you fired her. As a resident of this city for the past 30 years, I have never seen such blatant disregard for the well-being of the city of Fairfax by an elected or appointed board. Fairfax doesn't do business like that. But that feels like just the first of another vendetta-like action to come. There is no doubt in my mind that City Administrator Chris Phillip would have suffered the same fate
Joe, you're
had he
getting off,
remained.
Joe, off topic.
I'm not, this is still topic, this is the action of the council on a particular night.
No, we're talking about the motion to reappoint Cynthia, so you're off topic, please.
So, once again, this has happened before, and I will stop. But this has happened before, where the mayor has cut me off, to say what I really felt.
You have opportunity to say.
Here, this is your call.
What are you afraid of?
Let him talk.
Why are you trying to hide?
I can spare I can clear the room if you would like, and we'll put this into call-in only mode. Joe can talk at the end of the agenda under.
I'll talk now, or I won't talk at all.
Oh, now, you're not.
I either have. Are you gonna have me start? Boom, boom, boom. Are you seriously having me removed?
No, I just want the deputies to be prepared, because.
To be prepared to remove me? Be prepared? Okay.
Gonna take us all out.
Who's next?
I brought my.
You're gonna take us all out?
It won't be
Thanks,
enough.
Joe. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe. Joe can continue under citizens not on the agenda and say whatever you would like. When we're talking about a topic, it needs to stay on that specific topic.
First of all, the agenda item is written improperly.
Next.
My name is Catherine Ann Pasha, and everybody knows what the hell I live, but I live on 210 Vanderbilt Street, so. I lived here also, actually for probably a lot longer than most of you guys have. I've lived here all my life, so that's 42 years. I'm standing here before you to express serious concerns regarding the lack of transparency in surrounding the termination of Cynthia Stinson and the manner in which this decision appears to have been handled. As a resident and stakeholder in our community, I believe this matter raised significant questions about governance, accountability, and public trust. The city clerk serves a vital role in ensuring the integrity of municipal operations, records, and compliance with established laws and procedures. The sudden and unexplained termination of this position without clear public explanation or documented justification has created confusion and concern within the community. To date, there has been little to no transparent communication regarding the reasons for this action, whether proper policies and procedures were followed. Cynthia Stinson was not afforded due process, which is one of the cornerstones of this country, nor was the public given reassurance that this decision was made in accordance with city ordinances, state law, employment policies, or ethical standards. When actions of this magnitude are taken by 3 council members with an axe to grind, it undermines the confidence in city leadership and the principles of open government. The city council has a responsibility to provide oversight to ensure that decisions affecting key municipal roles are made fairly, lawfully, and transparently. I respectfully request that they clarify the circumstances surrounding the termination and confirm whether appropriate procedures were followed. If errors were made, they better make corrective action. And that should be taken to restore trust and accountability, especially when laws have been broken. Transparency is not optional. It is fundamental to any good governance. The residents of the city deserve honest answers and assurance that decisions are not being made arbitrarily or without proper justification. Thank you.
My name is Mark Majors. I live at 125 Horizon Avenue. I have lived in Fairfax 23 years as of January 7th. I've had the honor of serving on the Fairfax Fire Department for 21 and a half of those years. And I had the honor of serving on the Fairfax City Council for roughly 12 of them. I was on the city council when Cynthia was hired and appointed as city clerk. I will be 100% transparent. Did I always like Cynthia? No. Did I always think that Cynthia was doing her job correctly? Absolutely. Stephen Covey says, first seek to understand, then seek to be understood. Thank you for allowing me to address this honorable Council Daily, honorable Councilwoman Mary Ann Wainwright, Deb, Dan, Cindy, Joanne. The fact that you took no time to seek to understand before making the decision to not reappoint an individual that has worked for this city tirelessly for 16 and a half years, has been the city clerk through projects like the upgrade to Fetter Field, like building the Fairfax Youth Sports Recreation Complex and Trail, putting a trail across Prairie Creek, building a trail along Cemetery, doing great things for this city, all while not ever failing a single audit, to not reappoint her with no discussion, acting as though you don't owe your constituents a reason for not reappointing someone who has honorably served this city council and every member of this community over time, is appalling. That's why you should reconsider this motion. You should first seek to understand. It's very, very clear that this was not thought through when you had no idea how to bring call-in attendees to this meeting here. You had no idea how to appropriately put together a city council packet so you could have a consent agenda for this evening. So again, I would urge you to first seek to understand and reconsider the appointment of Cynthia Stinson, who has far more honorably served this city than any of the three of you. Thank you.
I'm Mary 115 Highland Avenue, Fairfax, former councilman and also resident for 25 years. Our city clerk of over 30 years has experience on the steps that are required of Fairfax. But I see on a regular basis that frustration comes from people that is directed at our clerk. The saying, don't shoot the messenger, plays in here. I've seen many times when our city clerk says we can't do it a certain way and we don't like the answer. And the response back is, rather than trying to get an understanding on the why. But this happens on a regular basis at council meetings. But council members are not experts and must rely on her 30 years of knowledge of the laws that we must follow. I see that many don't trust her 30+ years of knowledge and expertise and look for verification from other services, which is wrong. May not like our clerk, but look back over the 16 years of service and how many times has she led Fairfax down the wrong path. Don't direct your frustrations to the clerk for not wanting what you want, following local, state, and federal laws. Instead, ask the questions of understanding why. Last Thursday, as Mark Majors said, there was no reasons given. I'd like to ask, Cindy, what was your reason for saying no? As a Fairfax resident and many people here wondering, you have a justification for your vote last Thursday on saying no. What was your reason? Give me a reason why, so I can understand where it comes
This
from.
is private information.
What's private? What's private?
Would you like, if you were let go from a position, Tom, for people publicly to be saying why?
You can discuss any part of my performance. I am not asking for a closed session to discuss my performance.
We're getting a little bit off topic though, because the The agenda item is to consider a motion to move this topic for reconsideration at next week's meeting.
Okay,
But not.
I'm asking for one question from each of the people that said no. It's plain and simple. We're trying to dance around it. I can't speak for everybody here, but what was your reason?
Tom, that is not on the agenda for discussion. The agenda states only the possible motion to move this reconsideration to January 26th.
You're wrong.
Former Mayor, please.
The attorney, you're wrong. I'd like to ask the attorney if that's accurate or not. Yes.
So if this is placed on the January 20th meeting for reconsideration, I have no problem discussing my performance at that meeting.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else?
So my question is not gonna be allowed to be answered.
No, not under this agenda topic.
There you go, so it's a good idea, very, because it's a bullshit deal, well. Yeah, I hear you, I know.
Dancing around the word confidential is an excuse
No,
not
no, the
to.
primary reason, Tom, is it's not the agenda topic under consideration.
It has to do directly
Yeah.
with this agenda topic.
Well, not consistent.
But I understand we're dancing around, so I'll leave it at that,
All right.
unless the three of you guys would like to answer.
I certainly will.
Fantastic.
Yes. You're not gonna like my answer, but it had a lot to do with when I was out campaigning. Majority of the people wanted some change in the city, and she was one of them. There you go.
But what do they want change? Where?
They want change.
No, that sounds like a.
They want to fail the audit, they want to fail the audit, they want to not have the budget
I
ready,
will
what do they want
not
to
argue
change?
with you, and it looks like to me, by what's going on here, I made the right decision.
Mayor,
Yes.
former mayor,
Yes,
please.
please, thank you, I did it.
Thank you.
That brings me to a great point. I'm Stephanie Brandenburg and live on 415 West Prairie. This council was elected, so, I'm kind of the antithesis. We can all care about Cynthia and what's going on with her as a person and care about each other as neighbors. But at the end of the day, this was an election that happened. These people were elected to make these decisions. There was nothing nefarious about this decision. It simply was a point that the position was now up after the 2-year tenure, which Cynthia would have been aware of. So it's simply just what we voted for.
It was a shameful voter turnout too.
Well,
That's
yes,
what that
yes,
means.
exactly. right. If you want to have something to say, get out and vote.
Lot of them to meet.
If I could ask a clarifying question to one of your comments. As Tom was asking that question, you responded with you're asking for confidential information.
No, no, no.
Yeah, no, I believe that's exactly what you said was you're asking for
No, he was, not me.
confidential privileged information. So would that indicate that there were discussions that took place prior to the meeting that would involve
No.
job performance and that confidential information?
Yeah.
Because it would certainly appear that as you consider this motion to reconsider, I would like to ask that you also think about, did discussions take place about Cynthia's reappointment outside of a regular council meeting or work session? Because your statement would indicate that they probably had.
I did not imply that, and there are public, for the audience, there are, open meeting regulation that all of the council must abide by. We all have taken oaths of offices, and actually, our new council members have just completed training in that regard. And the current council members that are not new have also been offered that same opportunity and requirements. So we've all gone through open meetings, regulations. Any other?
I don't know where Tom went, I can't see him any longer.
Right.
I will answer your question just because I'm short, I can't see anybody else. My decision was not based on performance at all. I know that Cynthia Stinson has great knowledge in the clerk position. My decision was based on the overreach and what I have witnessed and watched, where there has been a climate for years of us versus them. us being City Hall, them being the residents. I've made attempts to get that to be more cohesive and I was shot down left and right. I attempted to figure out how this should be. Deb did the same thing. I talked to hundreds of people. And the experiences that people had when they came to City Hall were disturbing to me. This was not about her performance as the city clerk. I don't even have a tenth of the knowledge that she would have to do that job. But I fully believed that we had a person in the position that had been here for 5 years, following her, doing the work, watching. I did not have any expectation that city business would stop because we've been paying someone or two to do that same job when she wasn't here. I researched, I agonized, I looked. This was not an easy decision. This had nothing to do with not liking someone or any kind of vendetta. This is because what I was hearing from the residents that I talked to, I don't know how many you talked to. I talked to strangers. It's not easy to go out and knock on people's doors. But over and over again, I heard, I just want to be heard. I just want to be respected when I ask a question in City Hall. I just want a change. This is not about her performance, and it never was for me. Does that answer your question?
What overreach are you talking about?
Yeah.
What overreach were you talking about?
I will give an example. Oftentimes, the rule that we are just now doing came out of a decision that council made where something failed. She decided that we need to change that. She had researched, she'd done some work, and she brought that to you. That is an overreach of her position. Well, when we enacted this
Well,
one,
how about this
when
before
we
or
enacted the
after?
lawyer one, when we enacted the, what's the last one? The lawyer one, where we are enacting the mayor's, stuff. We
Speaking of the attorney,
speaking to the attorney, those are not appropriate things for the city clerk to be suggesting and making ideas and discussions in that guidance. That is not in her purview of the city clerk's job. And I understand that that's the way it's been happening for years and years and years. I get that. But that puts a disconnect
So,
between what we do, what we're supposed to do, and the residents. I'm not here to work for city staff. If you're a resident and you are a city staff, I will work for you just as hard as anybody else. But what has happened is that because of that climate, it has elevated those positions well above the residents who live here. And as a person who has tried, who has followed the processes, who has done the work and the research, and still we're 13 days into this term. November 14th, I was asked for my picture and my email address. November 19th, I gave that to her so the city website could be updated. Yesterday that happened.
I'm not sure what this has to do with her.
I'm gonna answer. The reason is,
You asked me about my, if I'm asking a question.
and I answered, perhaps your picture and your I'm gonna answer a question real quick. Perhaps
the reason your info wasn't put on until January is because your term does not begin until January first. Why would your info be? put
I'm
on
not
ahead
asking,
of time?
you're.
You just used
No,
an example.
you misconstrued it. All right.
Cindy, I have a question for the minute.
My last question is for Dan, is.
Can I gotta get a clarifying question on that. You said it was not appropriate for the clerk to work and research and advise the council?
I never said
Then
that.
what did you say
That is
exactly?
not her. Her
Not
job is.
appropriate for the clerk to, that's where I lost you.
You did.
Yeah. Not appropriate for the clerk to. You said research, I know that was the first one.
It's okay, Chris, she said she doesn't know what the clerk does.
That's the point. That's the point. That is the point, Bernie.
Can I just leave it at research then?
Yeah, you
Would
don't.
you like me to leave it at research?
So if the
Stop.
clerk is smart and has some information, she should tell Joanne, right?
That's not what I said.
Well, that's pretty close.
Does anybody else
Okay,
do
trying
any
to keep
research
the
beside her?
meeting in line here, if I can keep them on topic here. I don't mean to overreach, Joanne, but I would say thank you, okay?
To Tom's question, I do have a statement. However, it's going to go off topic. So I want to save this until this is not on the agenda.
Can't respond if it's not on your agenda.
Yeah, but it's just.
I'm invited.
You said council couldn't discuss during citizens on the agenda.
Okay.
Oh, and if it's him, he can? Okay,
On any
Okay.
topic,
just
they can make
clarify.
a statement, but nobody can respond to it.
May I make a suggestion? He talked about everything except the off-topic part, and then he can reread it in full later.
All right, let's move on. Come.
Floor Dan.
I prefer to read my statement in full, not pick portions out of it. And
And that's his right, so.
I'd rather have the full.
And when will we be able to hear that?
Today.
Today, perfect.
Whatever.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Whatever topic number citizens not on the agenda is.
I will, Joanne, for clarification, I was never insinuating that I wanted my picture on the city website prior to my official term started January first. So my
We're off
point
topic.
was that she had the information and chose not to put it out there, mine or Deb's information out there. No.
Hang on.
I did not choose not to put on the agenda or on the website. I have many, many things to do and auditors to compile information for. End of the year, it was not on the top of the priority list, but it was on the list and would have been accomplished. But 1099 or rolling end of the year payroll, rolling end of the year AP, giving the auditors as much information as I can before they come. They were here last week in person 2 days. I had an agenda to packet to prepare for Thursday. I had started preparing the agenda and packet for tonight. It is next Tuesday is the budget special. I had been trying to get to the budget spreadsheet. All of those things were more important and more timely in my to-do list. And every day that I would leave the office, there were many things to do that didn't get done. It wasn't a choice.
Okay.
Professionally speaking.
Enough of that topic.
And as far as auditors go.
You have to come to the podium, please.
Hi, I'm Sarah Schaller and I live at 145 Bluff Drive here in Fairfax and I've been a resident for about 45 years. So as an accountant, I'm professionally speaking here, auditors will always take more priority over getting someone's name on a
Okay,
website.
we're off topic, that's not. Right, we're not.
Okay, just saying, professionally speaking, her job description is more important than a website.
Go back to the motion, we're straying way into personnel performance reviews here, and that is not the topic. Council. Item number 7, discussion and possible motion for reconsideration of Cynthia Stinson as city clerk treasurer. And the motion says to be placed on the January 20th agenda. So all we're doing is saying, do we want to remove or move this topic of reconsideration to the next agenda? That is what the meeting rule will allow us to do. We can't make that decision tonight. So the motion has to come from one of the three prevailing voting members. Is there a possible motion?
Strongly advise you to remember possible Iowa code violations of both 372 and.
We're waiting for the
469.
three prevailing members.
Your attorney, I take that as a threat.
I hear. Man, you better resign if you think that's a threat. Holy cow, man, you got some thin skin.
Okay. I'm calling for a motion. No other discussion. I'll give you another minute.
You should go in the hall.
Excuse me. I called for a motion. We're not in discussion.
Yeah, Sue.
I don't hear a motion. I'll give another 30 seconds.
Here's the transparency they all claimed they wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay with me, yeah, man, better than doubling down.
Audience, I can close this meeting with one move and everybody will have to leave. Please don't make me do that. We're moving on. There was not a motion made. We're going on to item number 8, which is the public hearing. Jane? Let me explain the rules of a public hearing. They're only used for topics that require a public hearing. The first order of business is that I will open the public hearing. Then a presentation of information will occur. After that information has been presented, the council will discuss first. Second, we'll open up for public comment because it is a public hearing on a specific topic only. After a discussion occurs, we will close the public hearing and then the council will vote. So the public hearing is for item number 8, a bridge replacement project. Very lengthy PCX project on FM East 66 over Oscar Creek. IDOT project number is referred to. I'm opening the public hearing on that. Our city engineer, Shane Wick, is going to offer an explanation for it. Thank you, Shane.
For the plan specifications, form of contract, and estimated total cost for the project, the West Cemetery Road Bridge project. It's the area just west of the highway on the curve there.
There's something else, Shane, you could have case bring up for you.
You can go to topic, I think it's the second one, resolution. Plans, specs.
And a map or something.
Plan should be in there. Down the back side of Jason. Oh,
I think you're off the top page.
It's just talking already.
We're on 8.
well, I did put a couple copies, one on each table for the council. But these are the plan improvements to replace the bridge. We've been construction since late October in that area. The first phase realigning West Cemetery Road west of the highway. Doing utility work. We're working on that project right now. Jason, the second phase will remove the existing bridge. Construct the realigned bridge and the approaches for the bridge. This is funded with federal dollars, was left for the DOT. It's got DOT specifications. You have special provisions for bridge type concrete block and mat for the project. The engineer's estimate on the project was $1,333,122.30.
And what is the schedule for this change?
Construction start date's June 1st. 90 working days or. So,
Council, do you have any questions for Shane?
You provided all the information, the end date, and all that schedule stuff.
Cindy, I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I appreciate that Shane provided all the information. I have questions on that at all.
This is a public hearing. Does anyone in the public have a question for our city engineer on this West Cemetery Road Bridge Replacement Project? Is the topic.
How's it going with the schedule? For the rest of them? How's the schedule?
it went through the first part of December.
That's sold off, did you pull off or no?
Yeah, pull off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And when's it supposed to be done then? What's the plan?
So the phase that's under construction right now is, we're supposed to get everything, most of it, completed by the end of May. Bridge contractors part of this project, with the existing bridge. Boomerang will finish up a couple of utility extensions, connecting the water mains and storm sewer with the existing bridge about that. And Boomerang will be done, and then the bridge contractor will want to construct the bridge.
Good question.
Yes,
So would be stoplight at that intersection?
no.
How about road now?
So you don't, I don't think you must be thinking of the 80th Street intersection.
I'm thinking of one of West Cemetery, East Cemetery.
Yeah, there's no,
I'm on that road every day, it's a bit.
yeah, and that is part of the project that's being constructed right now. That intersection is the line.
Will make it safe.
Yeah, it is, it will. So right now, that intersection is mostly, you are aware, the intersection, the highway curves. At east and west cemetery, or east-west, at a right angle. With the new realigned intersection, it will be at a right angle. So west cemetery, well, actually, New Street, the Eagle View curve and head north. Up towards the. It's like industrial commercial development, we're going there. And then West Cemetery will tee off that at west. New bridge. So that project's currently underway. That's the disturbed area that you see right now, that realignment project. is under construction. So what this is for is the bridge, which basically will connect that project. Be the approaches to the bridge, or just 150 feet on the side of the bridge, and the bridge itself. 90 or 80. So the whole is by the end of the construction season, project will be substantially complete, that it be opened up for them.
Any other questions for Shane on, this portion of the public hearing? Chris, do we know, did we receive any emails or anything from the public in advance of the hearing? That you're with?
Yes, I shot in West Cemetery, you got open during that construction.
So, yes, there will be access on Stallman like there is now. And then out west cemetery road. So basically, they got, Boomerang got the asphalt in, late, I don't remember, right before, or right after Thanksgiving. That'll stay, that'll become permanent, and that asphalt will extend it to the bridge. Thank you.
Chris?
To your question, Joanne, not that I'm aware of, but right now I can tell you I have 83 emails that I haven't looked at since I left the office today.
Okay. Is anyone online, on the phone that has any questions regarding this? West Cemetery Road Bridge Replacement Project? Not hearing anybody.
None.
Council, do you have any additional questions before I close the public hearing? Hearing none, we're closing the public hearing and moving on to consider the resolution to approve the plan specifications, form a contract and estimated total costs. Do you have any additional information here, Shane? No? Should be everything. So I need a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Aye.
I,
Aye.
Aye. Audience, if this is your first experience with council meetings resolutions, we call an actual roll call. Whereas motions just say aye and nay. Resolutions and ordinances, we call that each council member in order to specify how they're voting. Okay. Thank you. Next on this project, consider resolution for the council to award the construction contract. Shane?
Yeah, so construction was bid through the Iowa DOT on December 16th. The low bidder was, let me show you the bid sheet here. Jim Schroeder Construction Inc. And, their bid was for $1,147,604.78. We had 4 bids. They were all under the engineer's estimate, which you recall I just mentioned was about $1,333,000.
So the winning bid was $1,000,001 and your estimate was,
$1,147,000, $1,147,000.
the engineer's estimate was
$1,333,000.
1,333.
Who was it, who was awarded to, Shane? I didn't get that.
Jim Schroeder. Yeah.
Chase, can you give that to Chris?
Jim Schroeder Construction Inc. SCHROEDER.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions, council?
Have we used them before?
I think they're the ones that put the pedestrian bridge in Heartland, or one part of it.
Shane, did they put, have we worked with them before? Did they help?
They did all bridge over the Harbor Heights, pedestrian bridge over Harbor Heights.
Thinking that was together.
Yeah. There on the.
Anything else for Shane before you vote?
I see it's on.
It's Bellevue.
Okay, council, if you don't have any other questions, I will consider a motion to award the construction contract to Schroeder.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please, Cindy.
Aye.
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 Thank you. Next, consider resolution to enter into a construction engineering services agreement for Paul and Hall Engineering and Origin. You might explain the difference between those two companies, Shane.
Origin, yeah, was the firm that did the structural design for the bridges on this project. And they'll do the structural observation and all work related with the bridge portion project, so. So yeah, it includes Origin and Palm Hall's efforts as part of this group.
And what's the amount of this agreement, Shane?
The agreement is for $271,000.
Council, do you have any questions for Shane on his engineering services agreement?
Shane, are you gonna be billing for both of you then, or will we get 2 separate bills, or?
It'll just be one bill. It'll be through Palm Hall. You do have to, we'll have to have Terracon do some geotech work on the construction side of it, so that'll be separate. And that would be outside of this building, so I haven't had a chance to coordinate with them, but time for the testing, action, backflow testing, things like that.
You know how much that's, you,
I'm not sure how much that'll cost, 15,000 and something like that, ballpark.
Not hearing any questions? Council members, are you ready to adopt a resolution to enter into this engineering services agreement?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please, Mary. Aye.
I,
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. So that completes DOT bridge project. Next, we're moving on to number 9, which will have a public hearing as well on the pickleball and tennis courts project. So same procedure as before, I'm gonna open the public hearing for the plan specifications, form a contract, and estimate of total cost. Hearing is now open. Shane, are you doing the information presentation?
So this is for the pickleball courts and tennis court down in complex. Excuse me. So this would be located in between the 2 north parking lots, just kind of northwest of the splash pad complex. I think it's 4 pickleball courts, 1 full-size tennis court. The project plans, we've got a couple addendums that are included in that, and project manual, put a copy again on each table. It's been something for the back of that, like that we got. While it's going on, if that was attached or not, but the engineer's estimate on that was we have a base bid. And the engineer's estimate. Base bid. Is $465,000, and there are 2 alternate bids, which includes sidewalk along the west side of the courts and connects to the trail on the north side. It includes installing slats, the fencing, which are, provided for privacy, but also especially with pickleball provides some break. So those are alternates, so well ensure that we can keep that. Yeah, so the base bid was 465, 2 alternates, the engineer's estimate was 500,000. And the actual bids are being let tomorrow. Here today.
Why don't you explain that bid process for those who have not heard about that before?
It's a public bid, so it's put out through bid letting room and contractors. If they want to do the work, they prepare a bid, submit the bid. Open the bids, there's other documents, insurance, bonding documents and so forth that they have to submit. Go for those tomorrow and line and these bids have, it's a recommendation.
Are they available to public view when they're submitted? Do we see them or is it just?
Yeah, they get put on the council that packet.
Okay.
Yeah, they're at City Hall, so.
So the bid opening is tomorrow, Shane. When the council would do the actual bid letting at the next council meeting or when?
This is supposed to be on the January 20th.
20th.
For the council to consider what bids at the January 20th. I think the construction start date for this project was after USA Days, because it's obviously right down part of that. And we want to tear up that area and get it disturbed and have it shut down for USA Days. So the start is after that. We get it all finished up by early October. But it will be.
Any other questions for Shane, council, or the public? For the plan specifications, form of contract, and estimate of total costs? For pickleball and tennis courts. Hearing none, consider a motion to adopt this resolution.
Motion.
Second.
Do I have to close the public hearing?
Oh, sorry, thank you, Chris. Public hearing is now closed. Now I'll consider a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call please, Mary. Aye.
I,
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, council.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shane. We have one more public hearing. This is item number 10 on your agenda regarding revisions to the multifamily bulk regulations in the Fairfax zoning code, and we have with us our building administrator, Eric Bonfront. Okay, so we're gonna open the public hearing. And Eric, could you please present the information?
Well, what's on the table right now is asking for more dense populated zoning regulation. As it sits currently, we have a 3 RM, 4 RM, and 5 RM. What's that mean? That is the amount of dwellings could be on a lot. So we're asking to put a 1 RM and a 2 RM, just to have a little bit more of a versatility in the town. It's not for everywhere in this town. I want to make that clear, but certain areas, it's very, very justifiable. For instance, it could be used as a more densely populated apartment building as a buffer to an industrial area, as an example. So that was asked to be presented to the council from the planning and zoning.
Eric, I have a question. So that you gave an example of apartments, which would be good. Does that mean they could have more houses on one lot or?
It's the amount of, let's say, units on a lot.
This is for multifamily, not single family.
Yeah.
Only multifamily, okay.
Yes. So if those of you that are familiar with Fairfax, Gresham Court. Now, that's not as dense as what we're talking about. We're talking about a little bit more dense on said properties in town. Again, I'm stressing this is not for everywhere. This is just to allow the zoning to be able to look at something that could potentially be a great fit for this town. And you have to have it in order to be able to have it presented. So this would complete a standard zoning set as every other town around us has. Again, we only have 3, 4, and 5, and we're missing 1 and 2.
So would this impact any current property owners or only new developments?
New development, this isn't really, most of the time, designed to be a retrofit. And now, you can switch a residential property and rezone it, if need be, and if it works out and everybody approves of it, then you have more dense in an apartment situation.
Does anyone else have any questions for Eric? Anyone on the phone have questions for Eric? Hearing none, I'm gonna close the public hearing.
You gotta hand up
Oh,
back
sorry,
there.
sorry, Mark.
As you look at 1 RM, 2 RM, currently 3 RM, 4 RM, 5 RM, have minimum lot size. The associated with the type. And setbacks that go on those. Zones,
Yeah.
what would lot size minimums and what would your setbacks look like within those zones? Was it 1 RM, 2 RM?
So like a 1 RM is 1,500 square foot, minimum 10,000 square foot lot. So a 2 RM, again, this is one that's also missing, would be a 2,500 square foot and a 10,000 square foot lot. So again, this is what signifies the dense portion of it. So it's smaller units, you know, allowing for more families to move into the area. The benefit that a lot of people overlook on this is it is affordable housing that would be built. And what that allows is for people to grow. So let's say a young family or an elderly couple decide to downsize, or a young family needs to grow before they make that next step into a larger home. This is a good start. And it's a good way to increase the population of Fairfax in a very small footprint. So it's stuff like that, you gotta look at the whole picture all the way around and the benefits to it. And again, if it's not in there, it's not a choice. We don't have that choice currently.
Sorry, what process did this proposal go through before it came before council?
So planning and zoning looked at this and scrutinized it pretty good. Wanted to make sure it was a good fit. We looked at, you know, is there areas in Fairfax that this could come through? Absolutely. And, they came to the conclusion that this is something that we need in our current zoning ordinance and got together, sent it up here to council for approval.
Thank you.
Has anyone actually approached the city looking to put this kind of density somewhere here within the city limits?
There is somebody that did, and that's what kind of got it spurred and started, and we started to look at it in the planning zoning side pretty extensively. That property is on Southview. And that section there is legally labeled Shoots Lease First Edition, so anybody that's aware, it's where Fairfax Road and Southview intersect. There's a farmhouse on there now. So that property was looked at and currently has city sewer there, or city water, I'm sorry, but needs sewer. And realistically, it's kind of really hurting the property in the sense of if you expected a developer to take the 9 1-acre lots and turn it into housing, that's gonna be astronomical to pay for sewer. So a denser population is a good way to accommodate that situation and get it taken care of. That property also is next to the industrial, and going by what I previously said, it's a great buffer. So if you think about it, that building wouldn't be obtrusive to anything in Fairfax if it was placed there. I'm gonna restate this again, it is not for everywhere in Fairfax, but there are certain areas where it could be very beneficial. And this would be one of those for that property.
Any other questions for Eric, please? Hearing none, I'm gonna close the public hearing. And we'll move on to item number 11. To consider ordinance 3, amending the Fairfax zoning ordinance of 2025 by adding these bulk requirement changes. This is an ordinance which the council would need to vote on 3 times. They can space them out, 1 meeting at a time, or they can vote to do all 3 in one. So, 1 step at a time, council. I need a motion to adopt this ordinance.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please. Cindy? Aye.
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 Nay. Okay. Duly noted. Next, council, do you want to consider a motion to suspend the rules regarding the second and third reading and do them all tonight?
I think we should wait for public feedback on something like this.
So I don't hear a motion, in other words, anybody motioning? So the council has opted to, not suspend the rules regarding second and third readings. So the second reading will appear, potentially on the January 20th.
I think we should wait till the next regular meeting,
Yeah,
because we
it's
already
just a
have
week,
a
yeah.
ton of budgeting on there. And then just also for Eric, if he could possibly bring some comparables of what you might see in Cedar Rapids or something like that, that would kind of give residents and new council members an idea of what you could.
So I think he's talked about the zoning districts, like you brought Swishers and
Oh.
I think Ely's and there was a bunch of those.
Yeah, you're talking
That's
about
what you're
the
looking
Ely
for.
one across
Yeah.
from,
You wanna see pictures of the buildings or the zoning district?
Probably both.
Both.
Because what I'm thinking you're referring to is the rental units across from Legion in Ely, something to that effect. I know there's commercial on the bottom and then residential on top.
That's a potential, yep.
Okay.
I can definitely do that, and that was presented in DMZ. So I can just forward those back up, real
Yeah.
easy. You bet.
Thank you.
Okay. So the first, motion was approved 4-1. We will, bring it back for the second reading at the February, I believe it's February 10th meeting. With additional information to come. All right, fire chief is ready for item number 12. Consider resolution to approve pay app number 4 from EIB for the fire station addition project. Tell us about it, Chief.
It's pretty close to being completed on EIB's part, so. They only have one thing left to do and you're gonna get it done. The rest of the building is secured. So, thank you. Any questions?
Can you make that bigger, Chase? What's the amount making my eyes count?
$13,919.72.
Because I'm farther away than she is.
And that is the last draw on that project. EIB will be paid in full.
That's a final payment, okay. And when you say you could occupy it, Chief?
They just have to finish up the garage doors. Have the, service doors down at maintenance. Getting painted, and we'll put that on. And then the next step will be, the electricians are supposed to come in this week, and then we'll have a bid for the heat. Probably at the next council meeting. You didn't get that third one yet, did you, Eric? Nope. We're trying to get 3 bids for the heat by law, but only received 2 and a couple people haven't wanted to bid it, so we might only have 2 for the next meeting, but that's the next step and then it'll be done. So,
So for those who are not close to the project, what will you use this addition for?
the truck that we have ordered that's coming in March will go in there and then right now we have 3 trucks in 2 bays, so we're pretty tight. If anybody's been to other stations.
I got a question for you. So what's your guys' long-term plan as far as growth of your fire station? How long is this addition gonna last before you guys realize that we're growing so fast that we're gonna need to build a mega fire station? Because you look at all the other areas that are building these.
They got some nice ones, don't they?
They spent 11 million on their top notch,
I think he's offering.
Atkins has only spent 4 million.
yeah, so I wonder what your guys, as far as our growth in our town, like how far is it gonna last before you guys got it? Your lot's only so big, so.
Like I told the council when they approved this project last year, they asked the same question. And this is just something that's going to hopefully get us by, and like I presented to them, it's probably gonna get you by until you get to the point where you're gonna have to have career fire department. Either that
You guys
or
know
we
like
have
number
to.
of people in town as far
Marion,
as houses
I think we're getting on topic.
Yeah, I think-
like.
Okay, we're off topic just a little bit, guys. It's good information, but.
Stick with it.
Yeah.
That's all they generally apply when you're talking about the system.
No, Chris is right. Always must write, so we can't. All right, the motion on the table is to pay EIB. So. Second. All in favor? Oh, wait a minute, resolution, sorry. All right, we need a roll call, please. Cindy, you want to start? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
I,
Aye. Thank you. All right, chief is still talking. Item number 13, discussion and possible motion to approve purchase order for the fire department hoses from Danco, 10,613, says right on the agenda.
So this is the part of the equipment that's going to go on a new truck that's coming in March. So like everything else in the fire service, the NFPA puts a life on everything and hose has 10 years. If you want to follow by the NFPA rules, we have to replace, so the new truck that we're getting rid of is 23 years old. So a lot of the hoses already outdated on that also. We test it every year and it passes, but new truck, new equipment.
So this is before the council because it's in excess of $10,000, otherwise he could just do it.
Yep.
Any questions, council? Motion to pay it,
Second.
and this one just requires a motion, so all in favor, please? Aye. Thank you, chief.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 14, consider resolution to approve pay application number 4 for Heartland Heights Park restroom and pavilion project from Peak. I see on my version of the agenda anyway, there's a lot of question marks. I think that's where Shane fills in the amount.
Yeah, the amounts were $24,400.33. With the mild weather, they've been up there working on the pavilion, finishing up the roof on the restroom.
What's anticipated completion?
I think, the thought was this time of year they wouldn't be working, but the goal is to have it up and open by the end of the school year. So. With the roof and stuff like that, this type of weather they can do, we don't want to pave the slabs, so they'll do sometime in the spring and. Finally finished up in the restroom.
So this is pay app number 4. Will there be any additional?
Yes.
Council, do you have any questions for Shane? While we pay this? Hearing none, this is a resolution. Consider a motion to adopt this, to pay this application.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call please, Marianne. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. You could wait. Continuing on, item number 15. Consider resolution to approve pay application number 3 for West Cemetery Road realignment and reconstruction project. This is Boomerang, and what's the amount on this one, Shane?
So this is for $116,212.45. This is for the intersection project that we're talking about. That's the first phase of the bridge project. Boomerang at the sanitary sewer extension east of the creek. Completed, December, and did some, the private drive and some parking area in there, I think some rock touch-up work. I think it'll shortly before Christmas.
Council, any questions for Shane on this? This is an ongoing project, so there'll be additional pay applications.
Correct.
Need a motion? Council? Second. Roll call please. Peggy? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Abstain. Okay, moving on to item number 16. This is a library. A resolution, consider resolution to approve employee compensation. For library employees for 2026. Kathy, is anyone going to present any information on the, they did 5%. Going up to the 40%. So everybody on, here to you, thank you. You can get there.
They approved
Kathy, can you introduce yourself?
they approved the 5%.
Kathy,
Yeah,
you
Jane, library director.
Okay, thank you.
They approved a 5% increase over everybody's salaries.
Across everyone. Does anyone have any questions for Kathy? Hearing none, we'll consider a motion to adopt the resolution for their 5% increase for all library staff.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call please, Marianne. Aye.
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 Aye. Aye. Thank you. Moving on to item number 17, consider resolution to revise the off-leash dog park form and fees. Please, can you talk to us about that? Appreciate that. Why don't you introduce yourself and
Jason Harrison, Assistant Parks Director.
so what, the revision on the off-leash dog park form and fees, please.
Yeah, so we installed a security gate on the dog park with key access systems, just to help further prevent, dogs that are not eligible, who are not vaccinated correctly, to use the dog park. This has come with, increase in costs on our end, so everybody will be required to have a key card scan. The scan card is $20, which goes towards the cost of the card. And then because of the additional cost of the security system, all day rates and yearly rates for Fairfax and non-Fairfax residents are increased by $5.
So what would the total cost now be, Chase?
Off the top of my head, it's, I wanna say 25. It says that up there on the application.
Okay, sorry.
I'm not there to assume that, but.
So, Bill on. Yeah, that is correct.
Oh, Joe's talking.
For the first dog. And then it's $20 for the second dog if you live in Fairfax. There's a bump if you don't live in Fairfax.
And all dogs that are spayed or neutered get a $5 discount.
Right.
Everybody catch that? Okay. So, the motion on the table is considering the resolution to amend the form itself and the fees. Do I hear a motion? Motion. Need a second?
Someone,
Second.
Roll call, please, Marianne. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay, Chase, I think the next one is yours as well. This is an ordinance amending the Fairfax Code of Ordinances, park regulation.
Yes. So this ordinance goes back to the dog park as well. It just basically states that you're not allowed to share key cards with dogs. For dogs that are not registered. Your card is associated with, and the dog's associated with that, so.
What was that last part, sir?
The key cards are for you and your dog that are associated with that key card solely. There's not for use for other dogs not associated with.
Okay. We want to have this if we share it.
We take your dog.
We can go in and deactivate that card if we found some videos of using that.
There's the shoes.
Then denied access to them.
So Chase, the card. Sorry.
Go ahead.
You're fine, go ahead.
And with multiple dogs, multiple adults, multiple kids that are able to take over the park, we're gonna have a half a dozen spread around out.
You only need one card per household. It's just those cards have to be associated with dogs that
I get one card for
Yes.
that household.
yes,
Is that an extra charge?
yes. It also goes that within the ordinance, it also states that if your card is lost or stolen, it's reported to City Hall. So we can go in and deactivate that card machine.
So if I heard you correctly, you were asking about if you have multiple dogs in the same house, do you have to have multiple key cards?
That's what I was asking, yes.
And then,
You do not have to have multiple key cards. There's an option to get more key cards. Just at the additional cost that this.
so if I have 5 dogs, I get 1 card in my household, and each of those dogs can go at different times. Okay. Want to make sure I'm correct with, thank you.
Any other questions for Chase on the new key card system? Did you mention what happens if they lose the key card?
To report it to City Hall, if you will deactivate that card, it should be done.
Yeah, pay for replacement.
Yes.
Thank you.
Chase, you've got a question back here.
I understand all dogs need to be vaccinated for why isn't the shop card for our dogs? Other than the taxes that we pay, really based on much of a big actually sports. Why is it so much bad? Why isn't it be the one person?
There is a fee associated to the items that are locked up.
Chase, could you repeat her question?
Her question is why are there fees associated with the dog park? For maintenance costs mainly. It is to maintain, to pay for somebody to mow the grass, spray the weeds, spray decontamination stuff.
And verify vaccination status, which is the most. Are we the only ones in the area that charge dog park fees? Are you denying?
I'm not.
Okay.
Cedar Rapids does.
Does,
I know, I was thinking, yes.
I would say that as well. I think when we first came up with the dog park idea, that was research. Council, do you have any questions for Chase on this ordinance amendment? If not, this is an ordinance, so again, we have the opportunity for 3 readings. Right now, I need a motion to introduce and approve the first reading to adopt these new park rules.
Second.
Roll call, please, Cindy. Aye.
Aye.
I,
Thank you. Council, do you want to entertain the idea of suspending?
Motion to suspend.
Second. So what they're doing is they're voting for the whole, for second reading tonight. Okay, roll call, please, Cindy. Aye.
Aye.
I,
And then finally, consider motion for final passage and adoption.
Motion.
Second. Roll call, please, Cindy. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so they did all 3 readings in one night. And next, we'll move on to item number 19. Discussion and possible motion concerning possible breach of confidential information. And I'm presenting information on this topic. I'm going to step away from the council table. Good evening, everyone. If we haven't already met, I'm Joanne Beer, your mayor, chief executive officer of the city, and presiding officer of the city council. And I really welcome the opportunity to see so many of you in one place at the same time. That doesn't happen very often. I've been a Fairfax resident for more than 30 years. 20 of those years were spent on the city council, just like these people. And I've been mayor for almost 3 years. I was previously a business owner and a Kirkwood Community College staff member and instructor. I hold a certified elected municipal official, STEMO.
This seems off topic.
Designation.
Seems off topic.
And I am an Iowa League of Cities Mayor Mentor. I am currently the chairperson of the Metropolitan Planning Organization, MPO, and president of the Iowa League of Cities Mayors Association. I proudly represent Fairfax on those committees. This is going to be into the topic that you all are anxious to hear about. I know it's January 13th. It's on the agenda. It's a discussion. It's January 13th, but now I'm going to share my Christmas story. And I hope
Come on, you gave us some leeway, but this is a little much for leeway.
Okay, I hope you brought popcorn. Fairfax staff and elected officials have a holiday potluck. You want to know about this potential breach? Here you go. Here's the information surrounding the potential breach. Fairfax staff and elected officials have a holiday potluck just before Christmas every year. It's the mayor's tradition to provide the meat and also to distribute Christmas cards to everyone. I like these little guys. The staff's cards also include $1 scratch tickets. Elected officials can only give or receive gifts with a $3 or less value. This is done as an accepted and expected traditional part of the job of the mayor. Such potluck was held Friday, December 19th. There were a few individuals unable to attend, so I delivered a couple of these little cards to others that I saw in person, but I still needed to take care of a couple of others. So on Monday, December 22nd, I needed address to mail to 2 others. As mayor and chief executive officer of the city, I have the authority to access, excuse me. I have the authority to access all city records and facilities. Our personnel files are kept right downstairs here in City Hall in an unlocked file cabinet, easily accessible by any staff. Prior to having a city administrator, I conducted department head performance reviews and filed those paper reviews in that same cabinet. On that day during business hours, with staff members present and security cameras operating, I located the needed information so I could finish writing out the envelopes and get the cards in the mail. This probably take 1 to 2 minutes for me to do
All
that.
the deputies are off topic.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
you wanted information on the potential breach?
No, sorry.
Who else is gonna talk about this? I later learned that an all-staff meeting was held without my knowledge due to a security breach of the personnel files in the unlocked file cabinet. I was accused of obtaining social security numbers, banking information, and medical records. This is now escalated into verbal accusations, slanderous Facebook posts, and threats to remove the mayor. Interestingly enough, the only person who has asked me about this was a private citizen 2 days ago. Wow. City Council recently reviewed department information regarding confidential information and security procedures, and it was determined that multiple city departments maintain paper personnel files and unlocked file cabinets. Definitely our overall security needs to be reviewed further with written procedures in place. Please note that my own social security and banking information is also kept in those cabinets. Additionally, I've been denied a key to City Hall, although almost every city employee has one. Let's hope we don't have a citywide emergency in the community that we all love. As mayor and CEO, I would need immediate access to City Hall and all city resources if that occurred. I'm tired of unfounded allegations resulting in potential workplace harassment and defamation of character. Therefore, I am recommending for your motion on the agenda that the city council request a full investigation. Again, I am requesting that the city council request this investigation. Thank
You
you.
didn't request that, we did months ago, and you kept taking it off the agenda. Are you absolutely kidding me?
So I'll entertain questions. Thank you.
You can't do that until you.
I didn't hear the Okay. motion.
The
All right.
has to come first.
Okay.
You said it yourself earlier.
Hey, we're gonna follow some of the rules she asked. First, the council's gonna talk about this. I asked this to be on the agenda. The reason I asked this to be on the agenda is because she does not, despite her attempts at saying otherwise, she does not have access to private data that the employees have. She has been caught accessing these files. She has been told by both the city administrator and the city clerk before her removal, whatever term you want to use, you do not have access to these files. It has been said repeatedly, what her intent is irrelevant. She has accessed these. No, I did not interrupt you. Technically, I did once to call the deputies. So you can call.
I'll go back to my desk and become mayor again. Accusations and incorrect.
Again, what I am asking, that might be multiple motions, but I believe regardless of intent, she does not have a right, has potentially committed a crime in doing so, regardless of intent. With that said, what I am asking for to remove any perception of bias is to contact the Iowa Attorney General Office to investigate these accusations about her repeated access to files that she did not have. Second, I want the individual employees that want to come forward with testimony be offered, and I don't know if I'm getting this term right, whistleblower protection in an attempt to not have any sort of retaliation taken against them.
It's already happened.
Okay, it's been already asked for?
No, it already happened.
Oh.
Cynthia's not here.
Oh, yeah, you could argue that that's part of her removal, yes.
So can I defer to the city attorney to talk about what a potential investigation would involve?
City council would direct, you can only represent the city, you can't represent. That's exactly right. Okay. That's a very good point, and one that I was gonna make, and we jumped the gun and I'm glad, but yes, we would be directed by city council, the city, to investigate that matter, and if we can't do it, then we would hire someone or direct someone else We represent the city though, not any individual.
I understand you represent the city, but to attempt to distance it as much as possible. Didn't know if it was a good idea to have the attorney general or the auditors. I know not the ones that are here right now going over our financials, but a different auditor to go over what did happen. To get testimony from the individuals who have repeatedly told her she does not have access to that. I would also potentially make another motion to offer fraud protection to everyone who is in those folders. I don't know an appropriate time of 1 to 3 years. But that is something that the staff requested, because that's something that she didn't mention, is that every staff member is furious that their information has been accessed by someone who's been told repeatedly
Excuse me.
by the clerk and the administrator that you do not have access. And don't think I didn't hear you try and say, well, it was unlocked, and try to shift blame that, well, it wasn't locked, so why didn't I access it? Don't blame the guy who broke into a car. Well, if you just would have locked it, I wouldn't have stole from it.
Councilmember.
That's the logic here.
Councilmember Daley, and that's something that we would run down and figure out. And if we determined in our professional judgment that we couldn't conduct it for whatever reason, we would let the city know about that. But that is something that we would do and run down exactly.
Is there anything that prevents the city from contacting the state's attorney general's office?
I think that's something that the council could correct me.
That's what I'm asking,
That's what
because he referred to that.
Yeah, that's what I'm understanding. So that's something that I provide you with.
So.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Councilmember Daley? Okay.
Yeah, and this is not, an argument, so I'm not even going to, respond to Councilman Daley's accusations at this point, but we have some people that would like to speak.
Actually, Mike answered a lot of my stuff just talking about it, but that is why I'm here. I'm a Lynn Miller, or ex-public works supervisor. And there's files in there that go way back before I was ever a city employee. It's like, well, why is the access there? Why would the person do that? If they wanted to do addresses, look it up. It's on the computer. Ask somebody, text somebody, ask me for your address. I'm sure they would have gave it to you. So that's crazy, going through files to try to find that. I don't believe it. So what else has been on it? That's one time. I've heard possibly multiple times. It's like, how do we know? There's no trust factor. Like, we don't know what was taken, what was done. There's so much fraudulent stuff going on now in the world. This is how it happens. This is bullshit. Excuse my French.
Call the deputy.
But yeah. And having, what credit or identity monitoring services are you offering to the employees and past employees, going back to however many years the past employees? That's a lot of time, a lot of employees. It's unbelievable. Cannot believe it happened. It's a private office. The files are in a private office. They're going into an office that's not yours, going through their files.
They're not in an office, they're in the open area.
And Cynthia has told you before, if there's any information you need.
Even worse.
And I want,
So
they are now under lock and key, number one, to answer that question. Number two, and I want to point out that something that you were asked, it has been said to the mayor repeatedly by
No.
Cynthia, if you need information in there, she is the custodian of those records. And she will retrieve that information that you ask, regardless of intent.
Okay, we're getting a little off topic.
This is not.
This doesn't fit your agenda.
In the years I worked there as a city employee, I was not as a supervisor allowed in those files. I would go to Cynthia, the clerk, to get those files. I would ask her if I needed something. I would give her the information to put into the files. I did not have access to those files. I don't know if any other employee had access to those files. So this is not fair, not right.
Okay, we have more people that would like to talk there.
Shouldn't be. That I know of.
Glenn, are you done or,
Yeah,
I've
just,
got a couple people behind you.
other than when you're gonna tell the rest of the employees who passed. How long ago did this happen? And how long are you gonna wait to tell all the ex-employees that their file's been breached to? It's unacceptable. It should have been done right away.
name is Cindy Griffith. I live at 115 Driftwood Lane. I just have a question for you for clarification. Being a mayor, you're well aware that property is public record, right?
Give me, when
Like
you say
property
what do you mean?
ownership is public records, right?
Like a house or? are you
Correct,
talking
an
about-
address.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Okay. So if you needed an address, you could have easily got on Lynn County, Iowa property search. Entered that name you were looking for and boom, an address, right? That's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
You're not, can't keep up with the truth.
Barb Connor, 101 Williams Boulevard, Fairfax. I did a little research, last week concerning how these confidential files are supposed to be handled. And the law states, the Iowa law states, the city clerk is in charge of taking care of those confidential files. And those files should be placed together, not mixed in with many other kind of files. And it needs to be very, very secure, and it needs to be locked at all times. And as I was reading Cynthia's, or the short statement in the packet, last week, it was stated that Cynthia said, well, it didn't occur to any of us to lock that cabinet until we had, or until we saw Joanne going through those files. Well, she's been here for over 16 years. She's been the city clerk, and that's the law, and she never kept that file cabinet locked. It never occurred to her. So I guess I don't understand this. And
Well, this is off topic.
No, it is not.
Yeah, it is.
No, it is not.
Oh, no, we're talking about her breach, not whether or not
Right.
the
The
clerk
files-
had it locked.
Well, the
Exactly.
files
It's not
were
gonna unlock a car that he's still gonna steal it. That's what
Exactly.
Basically, you're trying to shift the blame to Cynthia, saying, well,
Yes.
this guy wouldn't have broken into the car if the door was.
Go back and forth for,
If there were there should have been all sorts of different files in there.
okay, Barb, okay, anyone else like to?
Files.
So anyone else like?
I just wanna make a point, that's here. Back, quick. I'm not gonna say.
I know it's hard.
Never mind, go on,
I would,
go.
I would just have a question. This is the first I've heard of this. I was a Fairfax City Council member. I'm on the fire department. My social security number is in that file. So knowing that you accessed an unlocked file cabinet on December 22nd, is there a reason that you haven't notified me that my personnel files were breached? Because I get a notification from every other entity that has a security breach. I get it from Mercy Hospital, I get it from St. Luke's, I get it from my former employers, I get it from everybody. Is there a reason that you haven't notified me that my personal files were breached? Or even though that my personal files, that my social security number, that my address, everything about that was in an unlocked file cabinet?
So again, I mentioned earlier that the mayor is the chief executive officer of the city and has access to all files and properties.
That's simply not true.
But that still doesn't address the fact that you went into an unlocked file cabinet that my personal information sat in an open public area. You haven't notified me of that. By the way, a 2-second Google search, Joe A. Beer, 319-846-3164, 200 Main Street, Fairfax, Iowa. You didn't decide to do that. You took more time to go into the files than you would have had to do to go on a Google search.
Actually, Mark, that's not my mailing address, so, yeah, enough back and forth. Let's talk.
Can I have an answer?
The attorney is the attorney.
We're getting down to that part.
Can I have an answer to the question? When are you gonna notify me that my files were breached?
And that's the same thing that I do. I'm a former council member. I'm a former firefighter here. All my stuff is in those files. And by darn, I don't want to have stuff exposed to people. It's none of their damn business. So I want to have protection from the city.
Good luck then.
Would anyone else like to come to the podium and speak? Council, what would you like to do about this? I need a motion.
Well, for.
I would just like to clarify a few things. So, as a council, the council that was in place when all this happened, we were not aware that these files were not blocked and kept secured. So we found out when all this happened and we tried to have discussions about it. So for me, it was like, why are they not locked and why are they not secured? Why are they not marked private and confidential? Holy, where is our policy at here, people? And that became aware when they said Joanne was accessing and getting in and going through said files. So for me, I'm like, we need written policy. These need to be locked and secured first and foremost. And we need to be very specific about who can and cannot get into these files. So that's when all this started. We were like, we need to move forward with how do we secure everything? And then I was not privy to a lot of the things that happened because there were meetings with employees and other things. And they're, of course, concerned now that they've been exposed and people have had access, et cetera. That's kind of how we ended up here. And nothing, we weren't getting anywhere. The employees were really wanting.
The employees were demanding fraud protection. As soon as I became aware of it, to answer your question, Mark, I asked it to be put on the December 29th special agenda topic to address fraud protection and an investigation. That topic was removed by the mayor.
Weird. Yeah. Any other discussion, council?
I'd also like to point out she removed it on a Friday evening, therefore no one was able to request the topic to allow it to have 24 hours to be posted on the agenda for the special meeting.
I don't recall and won't respond.
Oh, I
Council, any
recall
other
this
discussion?
one.
Council, any further questions?
Not question, but I think I'm concerned that yes, there's a file cabinet with whatever sorts of PII information out there. Some stuff mine's already in information, but there's a cabinet full of information that's sitting on the floor, now locked, but was unlocked. That, like, I understand the situation that happened here, but there could have been situations in the past that we have no idea who walked in there and took information. We're not gonna go back to security camera because if we didn't know something happened, it's no longer in footage. So I think this is a problem of record keeping that needs to be addressed, as was referenced, I guess, last meeting, that there needs to be procedures and processes that are flushed out in this entire mess that has come to light.
Is that a motion?
So again, this was not a problem until Joanne accessed. We have multiple city staff that have the visual ability to see that in person from their desks. And they have never reported anyone else accessing them illegal. If you go downstairs and look, see where other city employees sit, they can see who goes to that file cabinet. I'm not here to argue about whether or not it should be locked up or not. It is now. That was something that was corrected. I am here talking about who was allowed to look at it, what protection we're offering the individuals, and what entity we should reach out to have them investigate.
So are you making a motion?
I'm going to make a motion.
Okay, thank you.
Number one, to reach out to our attorney to begin an investigation on the data breach and whether or not she is allowed to look at it. And he can coordinate with, counsel as well, coordinate with either the Iowa Attorney General on the law and on who has access to it or what. That way that removes any perception of bias by having someone currently with that city hall do. Number two, offering fraud protection to anyone that is in that file cabinet, their personal information. My personal information, I'm pretty sure every council member,
And
personal
myself.
information, the mayor's personal information, past and former employees, volunteer firefighters, I believe.
That's
all
former mayors.
Past and former mayors, who cares about Bernie, but anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Or you can make a deposit anytime.
All those people. And third, which whistleblower protection for those who want to come forward if they are in fear of retaliation, and considering what's been happening recently, I think those fears are well founded. That is my motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
Can there be discussion?
Oh,
Might
no,
be late.
hi, Paul, no, you're not.
My
A
question
motion's
is,
been made, okay.
my question is, how long do you have to keep those records on file? There is a deadline, right? How many years is that?
I don't know.
You'd have to ask our clerk. We don't have one. currently.
Cynthia, you didn't answer.
That's a good point, and I guess we don't know.
Yeah, because we don't need to go back
Make that.
beyond that, or they need to be cleaned down.
Okay,
That would be part of.
yeah, that's, okay.
What's the full motion again?
Full motion. Reaching out to the city attorney to investigate whether or not she has access to those files. What breach has been, if there has been any sort of, I don't know if I want to say criminal, but any sort of criminal intent. Again, regardless of intent, I'm not suggesting that, but investigating if she accessed those. If she has been warned repeatedly that she does not have access to that by both the city clerk, Cynthia, and the city administrator, Chris. Second part of the motion is to offer fraud protection for anyone in those files that requested. And number three, some sort of whistleblower protection for any city staff that wish to come forward with testimony related to the potential privacy data breach.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
um,
Yay.
I think, an investigation, I think, at this point, is practical, although I will go with I. Not warranted is the wrong word. An investigation is prudent in this situation.
So I have 4 ayes and 1 nay. Okay. So, Hermie, do you have everything that you need? Okay, all right, to be continued. All right, let's move on to item number 20, discussion and possible motion concerning rental property program. Eric, what do you have to share tonight?
I don't know, I didn't put it on there.
Oh. Does anyone have any
I'm
information?
ready to answer questions about rent. Sorry.
I asked this to be put on there. And the reason I asked this to be put on there is, as Dan, Mary Ann, and myself know, we decided to begin rental inspections. Because there's approximately, Eric said 110,
115
115 doors, units for rentals within Fairfax. After we passed the ordinance, some people came to us asking, I guess you would say, for exceptions. Because it was a family member or a parent or a child that they were doing. And the thing is, while we were kind of leaning towards granting that, I printed out the entire ordinance. There's nowhere in there that grants any sort of waiver if the utilities are in the owner's name as opposed to the renter's name. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because there's a lot of rental units that aren't registered here and aren't being inspected. And there's nowhere in the ordinance that says that they have any sort of exemption. Because the utilities are in the property owner's name.
Is that correct, Eric?
That is correct.
Okay.
So of the 115 doors, I quickly assigned a number of 2 people per door. Now this covers properties such as a house that may have 4 bedrooms, so there's more people. So we're roughly talking about 10% of the population of Fairfax. These inspections are in its infancy and constantly are going to be needing some tuning. I have done research with neighboring communities such as Cedar Rapids and other small towns that do these inspections. These inspections are vital for the health and safety of these folks living here. This is not a landlord attack. It is not a tenant attack. It actually helps both. During summary to all of my inspections, which I have here, you guys can have it, doesn't matter. It's quite obvious that the lack of smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, open outlets, fingers can go right into a service panel. We're talking about stuff that can kill people. That's what this is about. Means of egress not being correct. This is a very concerning issue. That's why these inspections are here. Now, of all the properties that I've inspected in Fairfax, the said property managers or businesses that oversee these properties will get my corrections that need to be made. They have made those, corrected, and now it's a safer spot. We had people that didn't even have a single drop of running water. I can't allow people to live there like that. You have to have running water. These are minimum requirements. I had to condemn some properties in an apartment building due to the fact that it's unsanitary. We have infestations of bugs. You can't have little kids living in this. This is now the importance of this program. So it's also very important that everybody else, if it is a rental, which is in exchange for goods, services, or whatever in exchange for a place to bed. So now to answer, go back to you when you talked about, exceptions, it's custom. So we don't have to have an inspection program. And if you guys want to just throw it away, that's fine. But all I would ask is that the council looks into the face of 230 plus people and tell them you don't care about it. So that's my job and that's what I'm doing. So the big ticket here is if there's people that are living in homes that are not on the registered list, which is not a big process, to allow me to inspect it, that's concerning. So I don't know what to say. I'm kind of astounded by it, really. Is there any other questions that the council might have? I know we're talking about tweaking if there's an exception, and I agree with that.
And that's what I'm getting at is I don't see the exception anywhere. So, and I'm going to use an example here. And the reason I'm using this example is I'm going to encourage Joanne and Cindy do not take part in this discussion as they are members of this trust. But there are the Q Trust that has 5 properties. You've been emailed that you're a property manager. I know you're shaking.
No, I'm not, I'm shaking my head because she has nothing to do with the trust.
There's 5 properties that are all listed under them. And not a single one, to my knowledge, is registered as a rental property. Is that correct?
That's correct. So when you did touch base on exceptions and to touch base on what should be allowed, what's acceptable, I totally get if I had multiple properties and I wanted to allow my parents to live in a house that I own. 100% get it. My sibling, 100% totally agree. My children, 100% agree. I don't think it should go any further than that, though. That's where I think we do need some updates on this. Like I said, it's in its infancy. And I think we have to continue to build this rental program to be the most complete process.
Well, and as part of this ordinance, so people understand, you can grant the variance.
Yes.
Before people can come to individually and say, my parents live here, my kids live here. They can ask for a variance on that. You don't even have to put in some sort of exception if you don't want to.
100%.
Any other questions for Eric, or what is your guidance to Eric? What do you want Eric to do here?
Well, I want to have the council empower him to start going after a lot of these properties that aren't registered on the rental program despite being clear rentals.
Is there a definition of rental property in the ordinance, Eric? I don't know.
Well, the ordinance is basically talking about rental and, I mean, I could go on and on in this. This is a big ordinance, and I would like everybody to read it. It's ordinance number 92. And I know it's up there, you folks ain't gonna read it, but you can do it online. And again, this can be tweaked, and that's what this process is all about. As far as I'm.
Are we sorry, excuse, are we talking commercial, residential at this point?
This is residential.
Just residential.
Living quarters.
Just residential.
Yep, and this includes apartments, this includes single family dwellings, And, even duplexes, so be it, and some of these houses are 4 bedroom, like I said, so. It's that number that I gave of 230 people is actually pretty low, so. I didn't go around and ask for their voting card or anything like that, so.
Eric, can you clarify for me when you were talking about parents, siblings?
Yeah, I mean, so. How far does it need to go? We need to find a boundary, we need to do it ethically. Again, to touch base on what I'm thinking, and I think you're thinking of too, Mr. Daly. If you have a son, daughter, and you have a home, an extra home, if you're that well to be able to do that. You should be able to rent it under special exemptions to your daughter, let's say your son. Or your parents, or maybe not call it rent, maybe they buy it from you on contract, that's fine, but a variance should be filed on that, so we know. So I think in the past, I researched the heck out of this to try to find if there was a rule on it, now there was. And the discussion was, if my son, daughter, grandparents, or whoever lived in this home, as long as it is in that realm, not larger, aunts, uncles, and best friends, dog owner, I mean, we can get way out there. So there was discussion, but there was nothing ever put into place on that. And so that leaves a gray area, and I just think that gray area needs to be tightened up. And that's kind of where we're standing, and I mean, it's been a lot of work, and there's a lot of stuff to figure out on this. But I think it needs clarity, for sure.
Eric, what is the inspection fee now?
So the inspection fee, so there's $100 fee, and let me check here.
50 per unit.
And then per unit. Yeah, so. That all varies based on the size of the property, whether it's a multi-unit or if it's a single family. And I have gotten some reach out from landlords, if you will, that are a little upset at me because they're like, how come I have to do it and not everybody else does? So. That's some of the pushback that I'm getting. But constantly at work at it, and I won't let anybody to put it.
You've got somebody behind you that might have to mention.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Travis Otto, I own a rental property, 311 Church Street, and I just want to express to the council that I support these rental regulations. I think it's a mistake if you grant exceptions outside of a variance. You do a variance to verify that it's a mother, a son, so we can't skirt these regulations because sounds like a little bit of that going on right now. And the reason I think that these are important is because as a property owner, I take great pride in making sure that my rental property is a good place for my tenants to live. My place looks nice, it's well groomed, well maintained. I went through the rental inspection process, passed with flying colors. So I think that if we're going to, rental property owners, we should make sure that they're taking care of their properties. This is, it's a business for them, but it's also, we want our city to look good. We want our people to be taken care of it here. So I would not get rid of this, and I would strongly really think hard about having exemptions.
The only variance I was interested in is immediate family, which I define as parents, siblings, and children, and nothing beyond that. No brothers, cousins, mother, former roommate, none of that.
I also would like to echo Travis's concern. I'm an electrician by trade. Many of you are very familiar with the projects that are going on south of town. We have not even started to touch on, I know you're not even believe it. There are going to be a significant amount of people that are still going to come in to work on those projects. They will be looking for housing, they will be looking for rentals. There will be a significant increase in that, given our close proximity to that area. It will affect us, so I would encourage that we get a grip on this as early as possible and significantly before anything continues to blossom into a problem.
Okay, council, so are you giving Eric some guidance here?
Just wanted to make sure there wasn't a resolution. I think it's just you provided guidance and correct. We didn't want feedback.
As of now, yeah, my understanding is the ordinance provides no exception.
Right.
It all has to be done by variance.
Yep.
And I'm asking the council, and I don't even know if we need to make a motion on it, for him to continue going after the properties that are listed that are rentals or potential rentals that are not on registry, to empower him to go after those individuals and find out why. And if so, if they're not on there, it should be on there, getting them on.
So we have qualifications that determine whether a property is a rental. It has something with the utility bill.
Right. And that's where I was saying, we discussed it. You're talking about the exemptions.
Well, as far as like exemptions, exceptions, like if how we defined a rental, like an exception hasn't come to us.
Right,
So if-
there was discussion on whether if the rental property, if utilities for the rental property were in the owner's name, that somehow would get them out of rental inspections. We never actually made any sort of motion on that, we discussed it. So some people were turning things into the utilities, thinking that exempted them from those inspections. It does not. And those people who have those utilities in their name still need to submit to the rental registry. And you're asking, like, what do you define as rental property?
Well, I guess that's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't think we should have exceptions. If we've defined rentals too narrowly, we need to expand it, but we can't go the other way around, where now we're including non-rentals in that. So agreed, whatever the definition of rental needs to be, there shouldn't be exceptions. But I guess I'm not exactly clear on what that solution is. Or are you just saying you want Eric to look more into it?
I think the definition is at number 27 up there. Is a good job of defining what we consider a rental property. And I think there was some confusion on what exempts property owners from getting out of those rental exceptions. The conversation about the utilities being one of them. And that's what I'm looking for, is to make sure that as the council, that we're encouraging him to go after those properties, regardless of whose name the utilities are under. And if someone wants, I know you said no exceptions, if someone wants to ask for an exception or a variance because of an immediate family member, then they would have to come to the council. I'm not looking to amend the ordinance as is. They can come to us individually with a variance request, and then we can look into it and see if it is something that needs to be granted.
I know there's quite a few people in town that have their parents living homes.
And we can look at them.
Do you agree, number 27, on the back?
Rental property means any dwelling unit or rooming unit which is being held out or being offered for rent or is currently being let for rent and or occupied by any person who is not the owner of the premises. The method of determining if a dwelling is a rental property will be at those properties that do not, will be all those properties that do not qualify for a homestead exemption as determined by chapter 425 of the Code of Iowa and properly filed with the office of the county assessor.
So again, council,
Sums it up.
so what's your guidance to Eric? Council, Denny?
Yes, I guess you say continue go after the ones that aren't on there, that are on the program. Because there's quite a list.
So there was a question back here, if it applies to Airbnbs. Now, that's a topic that has not been introduced.
Can't talk about it. I'm trying to answer. Stop it. You better ask that question. Get the deputy.
I think.
Off topic, sorry.
I think for.
Thanks, Eric.
So I will act on that information and look into it.
I think we need to define rental better. I mean, an example of someone has a house and their parents are living there. Well, is money changing hands? Is that a rental? Is it not? Is it? So there's too much gray. Yeah, I think that needs to be defined. So it's black and white. And then, yes, if someone wants an exception, they come to the council. Otherwise,
On
Those
an
are the rental
individual
rules.
basis, is that what you're saying?
Excuse me?
On an individual basis?
If we're going to grant exceptions, yes, it would be on an individual basis, but I don't know. For the hundreds of scenarios out there, I'm not sure we could say, hey, go follow this rule.
Right.
And it's not gonna upset a number of residents, like a B and B, parents are living there, no money changing hands. There's too much gray. This needs more depth.
My question is being let for rent not narrow enough for you? You're talking about, well, my parents, like, say you have a second house, it's fully paid for, you're letting your parents live there for free. So that would probably not qualify because they're not paying you rent.
But you say probably.
Well, if you're not paying them rent, yeah, then.
But so now
I don't
we're
know what
going
the
to,
situations look like, I just know, like, if they pay part of the payment, or if they don't pay anything, that would be, I just know that there's several people in town that have parents that do live in homes that they own.
so now for every home, we're gonna ask people who's making the mortgage payments.
I'm just.
So you can probably look up if they have to.
So we use the utility billing is how we come up with the list. If the owner doesn't match where the bill goes, we assume that's a rental. Well, actually, Stacy puts it in as tenant.
Agreed, I thought
That's how we started
it
the
was,
program.
but if we're saying that that's not restrictive enough, then that's where I'm saying.
Oh, I think what he's saying, there's a lot of them that don't fit that definition that aren't registered.
Correct.
So the second part would be, they only can have one property listed for the homestead exemption.
Right.
Correct. So any property beyond the first one, you could then either
Can own it.
follow up or say it is a rental of that kind and then go from there.
Exactly.
And then I think at that point is when they have to come and ask for a variance and prove the fact that it's mom, dad, son, daughter, brother, sister, I don't know. But it needs to be close. We can't have it obviously wide open to the world and spread lineage down.
Yeah, and I would assume he can reach out to the Lynn County Assessor and find out who,
Well, it's all-
what the homestead exemption is.
It's all public on the internet.
Yeah.
I mean, I cross-reference that all the time. I have to do that with.
I feel like he's on the right track, I don't know why we just don't let Eric.
Just
come
curious,
up
sir.
with-
Yeah, we're just
I
gonna
was come back with procedures.
We're going,
I was gonna
all right,
say, what Mike is saying is protecting, it may be their child, but they're living in this terrible place that has no running water, right? That shouldn't be.
It's not only that, the guy, the city maintenance guy, goes in to shut off the water in the apartment complex. I came close to falling through a hole in the floor because there's no lights, nothing else in there. It was one of our apartment buildings, used by a lot. Very unsafe. Previous worker grabbed my shoulder as I took my next step, and it would have been down the hole. So it's safety.
Yeah, we're not talking about getting rid of this rental inspection. We're just trying to help Eric fine tune it. So some of the things that are falling through the cracks get handled.
Again,
So
it's
we are gonna continue with the rental.
You need some tweaks.
Okay, Eric, have you got what you need from the?
I think so. I think I got direction they want me to keep going and I will tweak and bring more information as needed.
Great job, Mike. Thank you. Okay. We'll move on to item number 21. Claims list. This is our list of bills. Does council have any questions on the bills that need to be paid? Anyone want to make a motion to pay the bill?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. We can pay some bills. All right, we've heard a lot from residents, but if there anyone else that, this is for topics that aren't on the agenda, you can speak about it, but the council will not respond. So I've got one person. So far.
Yeah, Dan
Oh,
wants.
Dan wants to talk too? Yeah, okay.
Want to go first?
Go, you're right there, Paul, go ahead.
If you don't mind.
There you go. Okay,
So,
why don't you stand up so that you're away from the table, become a citizen now.
okay, so. I am going to read this, just so that I'm not speaking out of context, but so I want to take a few minutes to speak directly to the room of residents who are watching. I guess the news isn't here any longer, but obviously they're listening to Peter. So when I first ran for council 2 years ago, and again this past fall to refresh my perspective and hear about what heavy industrial issues, what many candidates say, what they do, but follow through on it. I knocked on doors, stood on porches, was invited to homes, and I listened. Over those campaigns, I spoke directly with close to 400 households in Fairfax, which represents over 30% of the households in our town. I did not get to everyone. Time is a major constraint on that. So these were not quick conversations. They were real ones. People talked to me about what they love about this town, what they worry about, what they want to protect, what they feel needs to change. I asked specifically about growth, about development, and about heavy industrial use. These conversations were sometimes easy, sometimes uncomfortable, but always honest. With the possible exception of the two newest council members, no, I have spoken directly with more Fairfax households than potentially everyone in this room combined. I do not say that to elevate myself. I'm saying it to explain the weight and responsibility I feel when I cast a vote. Those conversations stay with me. They shape on how I approach this role. What I heard was not a single viewpoint. It was nuance, trade-offs, competing priorities, but the most consistent theme was a desire for change, thoughtful change. My voting record reflects that. I have voted differently more often than any council member I'm aware of in the history of this town, and I've only been in council for 2 years. I have voted differently when my vote did not affect the outcome, when it made the room uncomfortable, and when I knew it would bring criticism. I did so because my obligation is not for consensus on its own, but to represent what residents told me directly. Despite the intensity surrounding last week's discussion or decision, the city is functioning, bills are being paid, utilities are flowing, services are continuing. Fairfax did not stop operating. This vote was an appointment. It is an appointment that occurs regularly by law. Reasonable people can disagree about appointments. That is the nature of governance. If there was only one acceptable outcome, then the act of voting would be meaningless. We can disagree passionately, we can debate fiercely, but when words escalate unchecked, the line between disagreement and harm can be crossed. Over time, this rhetoric has risen. It is built and built, sometimes in meetings, sometimes in conversations outside this room. And when words escalate without reflection, there are consequences. In this case, it escalated to a death threat against a member of this council. So yes, you heard it, home sweet home Fairfax, a death threat. So this is not politics, this is not accountability, this is not civic engagement. That line that should never been crossed was crossed. Once it is, we're no longer debating policy or process, we're talking about safety, professionalism, and the health of our civic culture. Words matter, tone matters, direction matters. When rhetoric escalates, the frustration is pointed irresponsibly. It creates consequences that cannot be undone. The presence of multiple law enforcement officers here tonight is not incidental. It is a signal that something has gone wrong in how this moment has unfolded. In the private sector, people at every level are removed from positions regularly. Organizations continue to function, professionalism prevails, disagreement does not turn into threats. This should have been no different.
Yes.
I believe deeply in civic participation, accountability, and engagement. But what has surrounded this vote is not something we should normalize, excuse, or accept. This moment will be remembered, and the way we respond to it will shape what comes next. Threats have no place in Fairfax. None of us should accept them. Those in positions of responsibility, past, present, or aspiring, have a duty to model professionalism and restraint that we expect from everyone. I ask that as we see conversations about this topic and others in the future, we do our best to stamp them down and avoid escalation. We're better than this. I've seen it, I've felt it, I've heard it. As people speak tonight or continue conversations beyond this room, I hope we are thoughtful about our words and
and mindful of where they lead. We can choose to lower the temperature. We can choose to disagree without demeaning. We can choose to move forward in a way that reflects the values we want Fairfax to be known for, not just tonight, but years from now. So the choice is in front of us. Thank you.
Hey, join the club. You received a death threat.
Yeah, it's happened many times, Dan. This is not the first one.
Yeah.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, welcome to the club.
Would we like to close the meeting right now, not pick out some people wine and talk? Paul?
Okay.
Paul, please again.
You're obviously not gonna like my speech either. I'm Paul Mully, I live on the northeast side, and I appreciate not having to give my address. Because that shouldn't be a process when this YouTube could be seen by a lot of people who already, to be fair, having easier access to us. As a disclaimer, I'm here speaking as a resident of Fairfax. Yes, my wife is a councilwoman. I'm going to express my concern for her safety and her reputation and how she's been treated. I am not speaking for her. She didn't want me to speak. I'm speaking as a husband that has the right to be concerned for her safety and reputation after already receiving threats. On the morning of January 9th, the mayor requested a staff meeting to discuss continuing operations. During the meeting, both the mayor and Councilwoman Mully, that was there on the mayor's request, were verbally attacked continuously. The direct supervisor, had he been a good manager and leader, would have stood up and informed his direct reports that they need to stop attacking, but actually encouraged and led the attack against the city's CEO and a councilor. There was profanity used multiple times by staff. This was all supported by the supervisor. That's insubordination. At no time should the mayor and the councilwoman have to tolerate such intimidation and verbal abuse. It's unacceptable. You may not have liked the election, and I'm sure you think you're showing support for the former city clerk, but this was wrong. It's intimidation and it's harassment. This was when most of them were on the clock, being paid by my taxes, going to be verbally abusing my wife. The city council cannot allow this to ever happen. If you won't protect the mayor and the council people, you're not showing that you're gonna protect the citizens. Running the city is a business. Most businesses would never allow a management person to encourage and lead a harassment and intimidation to their CEO or any customers or citizens in this case. These types of actions didn't just start last week, and they didn't just start after the election. This culture that reared its ugly head the other morning started years ago. It's gotten worse because it hasn't been dealt with. As I assisted in door knocking campaign for the election, helped the city of Hall for the big committee. One of my concerns at an open council meeting was when the administrator stated that all of his staff deserved a 4% cost of living increase, except for one. Oh my God, that's a description of discrimination. But yet, the majority of the council approved it. My understanding is that individual resigned shortly afterwards. Now let's talk about KCRG, and I have nothing against KCRG and their article. I just don't know why they were formed. Was someone trying to gain sympathy for the city clerk? Or were they trying to inform people that they shouldn't want to move here or do business here? You may have accomplished that. Or were they trying to gather support to criticize, intimidate those that voted no? Yeah, you probably did that. Or was it to send a message to the new council people that if you don't vote the way they demand, you'll be attacked? I hope you didn't accomplish that. Statement was made in the interview that the fire department would not get their stipend. There was no backup. That's sad, as I've always supported the fire department, and they deserve
if they're due pay. However, we just told all the viewers that we had no one trained to be the backup. The clerk was gone. That's terrible management. But it was also partially fake news, because we did.
Joanne, we've hit 7 minutes.
Going back,
Time to get off.
The time is at 7.
if I reached 7 minutes, then I would just say, can't allow this to happen. Our mayor, to any resident, or any council. Anyone else like to speak?
I'm Joel Berry, and, I live on 5110 Longview Drive. When you're talking about, correct me if I'm wrong, is it R1 to R2 housing? Is that what it's defined as? Change it, okay. I'm not opposed to it, because there's definitely a need, first time home buyers out there, to be able to get to affordable housing. But what's to keep corporate America from coming in and building 100 unit complex houses with not having any intention of selling any of those homes? They're all rentals. And that's going on all over our country today. They control everything that's going on in that neighborhood that they create. But not a chance, like I say, it's not for sale for homes, it's all rental. Are we gonna create, if that would happen, are we gonna create a certain type of environment or neighborhood that we don't want in Fairfax? You know, everybody needs a place to live, but if you've got somebody that's got their money invested in that home, you know darn well they're gonna take care of it. And they're gonna keep that neighborhood up, and they're gonna be good watchdogs for that neighborhood. If it's all nothing but corporate rental housing, then there goes the neighborhood. Thank you.
Park Connor 101 Boulevard, Fairfax. I think Paul, Melanie said everything I can say. But what I would like to say to people, I've attended these meetings for many, many years and I've seen a lot of things. I don't expect you to believe anything I say. But what I would encourage you to do before you believe what's on Facebook and on social media, look at the YouTube videos, the Fairfax YouTube videos, and watch them carefully and how things unfold. Watch it with your own eyes and how the meetings have been run. I think people, you know, it's just a knee-jerk reaction to listen to or believe what you see on social media, and I hope that you don't do that. I hope that you will just take a moment or many moments and watch these YouTube videos and see how things have unfolded meeting after meeting after meeting. And I am hopeful for our town, I really am.
Hi, I'm Emily Daly, famous last name I know. 512 Front Street and 21 Williams Boulevard. My family has owned and operated a business in this town for going on 30 years, and I've lived in this town for 15 years. I know who my husband is, and I know who the members of the council are. One thing I do know about my husband is he is not a gray area man. Anybody who's watched the meetings, watched the YouTube videos or otherwise, he doesn't give deferential treatment. It is pretty darn black and white when it comes to him. Now, personally, I love this town. I have watched this town grow and develop over the last 30 years. I've watched our parks and recreation department. I've watched everything. I've watched that complex build. I have volunteered along with my husband and many other people here to be part of the FYSA. My kids want to be part of that. My kids want to be part of this town. This is home sweet home Fairfax. And yeah, maybe we didn't have the file cabinets locked, and that was a big fat oversight. But it wasn't that long ago that we weren't locking our doors, all right? Just because something's unlocked doesn't give anybody the right to get into it. And we all know that. And yes, a lot of things right here come down to personal preferences, petty vendettas and everything else. But going forward, ask yourself this. If Fairfax has been ran so horribly, so badly by our prior council members and everything, why do any of you live here? Why has this town grown, developed, and turned into something beautiful? And now, all of a sudden, we have the biggest turnout at a council meeting that we've had in how long? And why is that? Is it because of transparency? Or is it because we finally realized that Home Sweet Home Fairfax is under attack? And now we're showing up to defend it a little late, but we're here and we're not leaving. I'll see you all at the next council meeting.
Former Mayor Friedrich.
I just want to address just one thing. Several times I've heard Joanne referred to as the CEO of the city. Okay, that's fine. However, the CEO of any organization must take responsibility for anything that's positive and anything that's negative. So if there's something negative that these people want to address to you tonight, Joanne, you need to take responsibility for it.
Anyone else?
If there's no one else, I did have one comment you wanted to. You can go, I'll bring it up afterwards.
I was just wanting to see if we could look at the city admin report for a couple of you. I just want to go over it as a group so we can all see what was on it. I saw there was a lot of discussion on Facebook and I have concerns about it.
Excuse me, I didn't understand that.
What
The
question?
city admin report that's on the agenda, I believe it's towards the top. I just have questions. It was posted online and it raised a lot of concerns for me personally. I don't know about anybody else.
The council can't respond to anything.
That's okay. I feel like we can read it and everybody here can be informed what's on it. That's okay. It's public, so you have it on the agenda.
Oh,
Like, really?
go back to an agenda topic that's been already.
I don't really think you didn't read it.
No, we don't ever.
Right, so I'm going back to reference it because it wasn't open for the public to discuss that point. You said save it to the end.
Yes, it was.
You have 7 minutes if you want to read it verbatim.
I can't see that far.
Here
Start the timer, take a deep breath, wait, and.
This report can be considered the statement to the media regards to the termination of non-reappointment of Cynthia, the city clerk. I would at this time like to thank the previous city council for approving the funding to install the audio and video system to capture the meetings as they happen. This report can be thorough and depth. I'm gonna skip through some of this. I'm just looking at the timeline because that's what concerned me. On November 21st, Mayor Beer asked Cynthia for the key to the city hall and was refused. No mayor in the past has requested or have a key to the city hall. Moving down, just regarding this, the topic that was already discussed with the mayor that we've already all talked about. But moving on to the department, let's see, December 5th, there were no annual employee reviews completed for the library department head or any library staff by myself or anyone else to this person's knowledge. All city employee reviews have been completed, discussed, and added to the personal files. Additionally, Mayor Beer had to be informed that the new council does not actually start taking on the city duties or council roles until January 1st, not before. December 12th, I thanked the last council for their decision on the city employee wage increases. On the 19th, snow complaints 3 days after which included Cindy Anderson, who's a resident or her residence, as well as commercial property she is responsible for. Chaos Motors is listed, it says. These addresses were all sent and violation notices prepared by state staff and signed by Mayor Beer. I reported that staff spent extra time investigating how to deal with the mayor. Or it's very blurry. I don't know where this page is clear. I'm gonna read this page. December 22nd, the library employee knowingly turns in falsified time card. I witnessed the same employee coming out of her home at approximately 11:30 a.m. and she had been clocked in since 8 a.m. I wrote her up and had her sign. This being the second time I had to write up this employee in a short amount of time I have been on the city admin position. The same day, Mayor Beer was caught going through the employee personnel information files by Cynthia. On December 26th, I let the council know that several other office employees reported witnessing the mayor in personal files all the time in quotes. Their words, not mine, it states, and this was definitely not an isolated incident, as the mayor alluded. I mentioned many concerns by employees regarding the mayor's possible retaliation and possible whistleblower protection for employees. I mentioned the city, may want to consider bringing in someone from the outside. This brings us to last Thursday's special meeting where most of us were shocked at the council's actions. I've written many emails to the council since then, and not received any response. I have asked the council why they would take such action without anyone with any information regarding Cynthia's job performance. Why had Cynthia not been reappointed with no disciplinary write-ups? I know we already discussed that, so I'm gonna move down. This is facts, not rumors, and not allegations, just not gossip or social media hype. These facts were communicated to the past council members as well as current council members with plenty of time for them to take appropriate action, or at the very least, ask for more questions. Instead, several of the current council members have ignored my communications and decided that aiding Mayor Beard is covering up the facts would be better for the community. I also disagree that the council's decision on this matter. We are required by the state law to have public meetings for a reason, and that is for transparency. And that is why I'm up here, because I'm highly concerned by this entire report. No transparency, like, that's the topic of everything, so. Just voicing my concern, I think it's super important, I think everybody should be mad about it to any degree, whether what side you're on over whomever the clerk is. There's a lot of stuff not being talked about to the public, and it's not right. And that's all I have to say here. Anyone?
Randy told me I had to wait till later to bring this up, so we can bring it at the next council meeting. You don't have the minutes for the 1-8, I believe, notes on there, but there's several items on there that need to be stricken from that record. The first one was the motion made by Cindy, seconded by Deb. There was ayes by Cindy, Deb, and Dan. That was for a motion to appoint Tina as the temporary clerk. That topic was not on the agenda, therefore there should have been no discussion about it. There should have been no vote on it. There was a vote that needs to be rescinded and removed. Furthermore, to that topic, I believe it was Joanne specifically demanded a letter of refusal from Tina that could potentially be put in her personal file and used against her in former or future considerations for raises, promotions. As that was in my term, an illegal motion that never should have been voted on. Not only does it need to be rescinded, but that letter that was submitted by Tina needs to be destroyed or returned to her. Second, there was a motion made by Dan and seconded by Deb to force Kathy Bain to take notes. That motion was not on the agenda. That also needs to be removed. And it needs to be removed for the same reason as Tina, since she did decline to take notes. That cannot be used against her in any future considerations for raises or promotions or anything else as a form of retaliation. That's it.
Okay. Council cannot respond at this point. Anybody else?
Sorry, I'm just not gonna be able to live with myself if I don't say anything. My mom Kathy is the librarian. I'm not gonna go into any detail about anything that's happened, but I do just want to say that I know very few people that care more about the city of Fairfax, that care more about the kids, making sure everybody in Fairfax is fed, running a food pantry, and just caring about the city. If they're gonna say something about time card fraud, whatever, she puts so many countless hours off the clock, worrying about doing things, going to the store when she's not there for the library and purchasing things to be used for the kids' prizes. The library is always on her mind and she is always doing things for the best, for the betterment of the library and all of the citizens here that use the library.
Anyone else?
You have to ask if anybody online. Or
Yeah, anybody online have any comments? Thanks, Ruth.
anybody on the phone need to say anything?
Alan, to stop that. What was that?
I'm sorry, come again?
I just said I have. Okay.
No.
No. Okay.
I'm gonna leave that alone.
Okay. We'll move on. Item 23, mayor's comments. Thank you everyone for being here this evening. Also, I do want to thank all of the city staff that have stepped up and beyond in order to keep the city running. It's very amazing. The fire department has been paid. City employees have been paid. We held this council meeting. We're moving on, and it's the city staff are the ones that are making this happen. So thank you, city staff, again. That's all I have to say. City administrator comments, please.
Yes, I have several, please hang with me here. The city needs a clerk immediately. Without one, we're helpless. City Hall can't function as is. Cynthia's reason the payroll, the agenda, and this meeting happened because I personally called Cynthia for her help. And she personally helped me as a friend to help get this done. The next meeting is January 20th, which is just next week, a week from today. I will be gone all of next week on vacation, and I don't know how the meeting's gonna happen, because without me and Cynthia, I'm certain Tina won't be able to get it done.
The only reason she hoped to be having scenes is because she cares.
Yeah, because she cares about this city more than anyhow. Right now, tonight, council made no action to replace the clerk. Tina and myself cannot fill her shoes. We're 2 work days into this. Time without a clerk. I can tell you, Joe, Tina and myself worked both Saturday and Sunday to get this meeting done, to get fire department payroll out and to get employee payroll out. It can't continue like that. There's just no way. The question is still out there. Is Cynthia employed by the city or not? Just not reappointed, or was she fired? You guys haven't answered that question yet. Where are we going with this, people? We don't have a clerk.
I have a concern. So Mike earlier talked about the 2 ordinances or
Yeah,
codes.
the 2 codes, chapter 69(1)A, which you cannot remove an appointed person unless you have someone in place to, someone to replace them. And I think it's 372(15) where you can't remove now. Now, I know they're gonna do the semantic argument, oh, well, 37(2)15 doesn't apply. We didn't just reappoint it, we didn't reappoint it, we did remove it. Regardless, then that still is in violation of chapter 69 where you have to have someone in place.
Lawyers. Yeah, so the other ordinance stipulates that if you're not going to reappoint someone, right, that you have to leave, what is the verbatim, like you have to leave the clerk in place until you have a replacement.
You basically have to have a replacement. That's chapter 69.
Yeah, that you can't terminate unless you have a replacement, which we didn't do. So we did, that was violated, right, or
No,
not?
I'm not gonna comment on whether it's violated. You're having a discussion that's off agenda, but I get the point of what you make your comments. I don't think you have this back and forth.
I would ask at the next regular meeting or special meeting that we entertain a motion to investigate the legality of her removal or non-reappointment. I would need a second person to ask for that, so we're not in violation.
Can't make any motions here.
Well, I'm still giving my.
We can add motions all the time. We literally do that all the time. We ask to have a topic added.
He's
on
talking
the
about
next
agenda.
agenda.
Agenda topic.
An agenda topic, and that's what I'm asking to do.
Sure.
Yeah, so that was.
You
one
can
thing.
request an agenda topic.
And I am requesting that agenda topic to have the lawyer review the legality of her removal per Iowa Code Chapter 69 and then 372.
Well, as council knows, in my emails, I have put together several options in which we could have had Cynthia back tonight. Items were removed from the agenda that could have made that happen by the mayor. Several instances of that over the last couple of days. Moving forward, I'm asking council to take some kind of emergency action to make this work, because the city cannot keep functioning like it is. Staff cannot keep it functioning like it is. I don't know what you're gonna do. I don't know what your plan was in going into this, guys, but you're leaving us helpless right now.
So Mike, are you asking the attorney to look into the legality of?
Yes,
Can we do that here?
or do we have?
No, you can't do it.
You can't do it.
Not
No,
right
not
now.
tonight.
And it's right.
We want the guidance. That's about all you can do. You can't make that function.
And that was my question, if we have to leave the current clerk in place until we find another clerk. What are
Well,
our
I
options
guess,
if that is in fact?
let me finish my comments, because after tonight's action by council, or inaction by council,
That's
I'm fairly certain Cynthia's no longer interested. And I don't know what we do at that point. She came here tonight of her own free will to try to keep this city running. She really loves this city and the people here. And she's done, excuse my French, but a hell of a job for 16 and a half years with this town.
That would be.
She lives in Marion. I'd have to move. Anyhow, the situation's there. You're well aware of it. My hands are tied.
Would you like to put an agenda topic on next week, Chris?
I don't even want to start into agenda. Joanne, I just got done with one.
So I, discussion, here's the thing, we're supposed to have a budget meeting on Tuesday, which is a joke because the clerk puts all the budget items together.
Right. We don't have.
And we don't have anyone to do that. To talk about funding streams, unless you're gonna do it, because we have to talk about funding streams, all the things.
The 1099s, the W-2s have all been redone by the state this year. There's new software. It's not in place. We can't do the 1099s. We can't do the W-2s. And again, there's no plan.
I mean, this is the reality.
Yes, this is the reality.
We're saying
You put us
everything's
in a-
fine because it's been for 2 days. We're trying to tread water with 100
It
pounds
has been
weight.
fine. We've been in the
Yeah.
office Saturday and Sunday.
So you guys don't have anything in place if something happened to her? There's no system in place for the city.
That's what happens when you have 3 city employees.
Well.
And that's why you have a.
It would imagine, I mean, I can't imagine.
Their own role, I think.
Yeah.
What you're thinking, but-
We got through the last few days. But going forward, this is not gonna.
Yeah, we're opening up a discussion under a topic that just says comments, and so for a lot of comments. Yes, there's things that need to be addressed.
So how are we gonna?
All right.
Okay.
Well, no, that's the discussion again. So I would take.
Discussion is a good thing. Believe it or not.
I know we can't make the motion, but as of right now, I'm,
You're a-
to his point is, are we having a budget meeting?
That will be.
Yeah, we're gonna find out the hard way. Motion.
Somebody second the motion to adjourn. I.